Hello, my friends. Good evening to all of you. If we didn't meet each other personally, I'm Razvan, and I want to thank you officially for being here with us tonight. We had this call planned for yesterday, but we had to postpone it. So I hope everyone got the message, but you are here, and this is the most important thing. I'm grateful. I am honored to have you here tonight, and I'm praying with all my heart that tonight will be a new start for you. I'm sure that is not a coincidence, the fact that you came here for this online meeting will have. And I hope that our discussions and maybe some stories here and maybe some principles will create an opening for you, an opening for your soul, an opening for a new chapter of your life, an opening for realizing maybe some things that need to be transformed, they need to changed. And I'm sure that if you are here tonight, you felt that there is room for change in your life and there is room for transformation. And I'm sure that um, life had many beautiful scenarios for you until now. But I'm also sure that you are in a period that you are starting to put some serious questions regarding life, regarding your journey here on earth, regarding maybe your career, your business, your relationship, your relationships, generally speaking, maybe your connection with God, and maybe the purpose why you came here on this planet. So I'm grateful to be here with you tonight. And actually, it was our team, our topic is the journey of spiritual awakening, but we had a very interesting journey having this online webinar. We've been trying for 2 hours with a good friend of mine to make it work. I was supposed to be in Romania, which is my home country, but now I'm in Germany for the European Championship. I postponed my stay here. And it was a big test having this webinar. And it's very interesting. Just before entering this call, I was reflecting on why do we have sometimes so many obstacles? Did you ever reflect on that? I mean, I'm sure you had a moment in your life where you really wanted something really bad, and it came for a good intention. You wanted to grow, you wanted to evolve, you wanted to buy something, do something, create something, and then somehow you felt all kinds of obstacles in your life, and you were wondering like, why is this happening? What do I have to learn from this? Why is not going, in a flow and in an easy way? And just coming here, I was reflecting like, okay, what does this mean? Why do we have these obstacles? And I guess sometimes perseverance is a big part of life, because for sure we all have goals and objectives and we have our dreams, and we want to live our lives in a certain way, and sometimes the universe will test us. Right? Like, obviously, I'm doing this call from a pure intention. Obviously, it's a free online meeting, but in the same time it's like wondering why are so many obstacles. The internet was not working, we had to test two devices before three with the phone, and so on and so forth. And in the same time, I was like, how determined are you to take your projects, to take your life, to take your soul, to take your connection with God, or relationship, or whatever you have inside your consciousness, what you want to achieve, to take them to the end, to finalize them, to finish them. And I guess this is also part of the spiritual awakening process, right? Because um, there is a chapter of our lives where we just forget about our goals, forget about our dreams, and we just go in this, I would say, autopilot mode, where we wake up in the morning, we go to our jobs, we go to our businesses, we come back home to our families, relationships, and so on and so forth. But then I guess for our generation, my friends, life became so robotic. Did you ever feel that? And just that feeling that you don't have time anymore. Like, time just passed away. Like, you don't have time to take care of yourself, of your soul, to do sports, to take care of your projects, your family. And you're wondering, like, what is this happening, right? Because it's not just you. By the way, I honor you for being here, and I'm thanking you again with all my heart, because it means you are asking some questions and you want to find some answers. You want to find some solution. That is beautiful. I honor that. I'm like you. Uh, and in the same time, you're wondering, like, why don't we have time anymore? Why this life became so robotic? Why we're not fulfilled, I mean, truly fulfilled in our hearts and in our souls, right? And obviously, there are answers to that. And it's wonderful when we start asking ourselves these questions, because that's when we can get to the reality of what's truly going on. And I'm telling you this because society has created a roadmap for success, and especially now with all the evolution of technology, social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and all this, YouTube, Google, all these channels that we have access to in our days. um, we are presented the model of success, right? And most people want to become successful through this model. We want to have a successful career. We want to have a successful relationship. We want to be successful financially, and we'll have a certain type of car and a certain type of house and certain types of clothes and a certain amount of money in our bank accounts and so on and so forth. So I guess most of the people in our society are just running for this success model that has been presented to us by society. And I want to ask you something. And again, I'm Razvan. If we didn't meet until now, and we can just pretend to be friends and not make this into a seminar or a course. I don't want to be a guru or a coach or anything. I just want to be your friend and just like have a real heart to heart and soul to soul conversation. And I'm asking you something, and just reflect on it if you observed it around you. So look around you to all your friends, your family, so everyone around you, right? Are they in this chapter, waking up in the morning, going to their jobs, going to their businesses, coming back home, doing the same things day by day, running after this success model that has been presented to us by society, right? But the real question is this, my friend. How many souls do you know that are truly happy and fulfilled? Souls that are just, you stay around them, they just radiate happiness around them, right? And you feel they're happy and you feel they're fulfilled and you feel you know, they're really enjoying and taking the best out of this journey called life. And some of them might not be that successful financially. I mean, some of them might be really successful, but still they don't have that fulfillment. So why is the reason? I'm sure you are asking questions like this. I mean, I'm sure you succeeded in many things in your life, and then you had them. I don't know, you wanted a certain car and a certain house or a certain I don't know, amount in your bank account or whatever, and then you got those things and like, okay, like, is this it? What is next? Because I still don't feel that joy and happiness. And if you check on the other side, for example, I'm now in Germany, and I came here for the European Championship, and I had the blessing to be in the house of very dear friends of mine, and they have a wonderful child. He's 11 years old, and also they have some friends, good family friends that have two daughters. And just I've spent so much time with them these 2 weeks. Actually, last weekend we went to Disneyland, to Paris. And it's so amazing how kids are naturally and authentically happy, my friends, and fulfilled. They don't need online Zooms, they don't need webinars, they don't need books, they don't need podcasts, they don't need retreats, they don't need, I don't know what kind of psychedelic therapies and so on and so forth. They are just happy. They're fulfilled. That's the natural state of most kids. I mean, usually if they don't have an adult that has created a trauma upon them, they will be naturally happy. Most of them. So the question is, what happened to us as adults? Now, my journey was very interesting because I had also this model, right, of success. So I was born in a very small town in south of Romania, the border with Bulgaria, and I had a very intense childhood, and especially as a teenager. My dad died when I was 15 years old, and all my grandparents died of certain diseases. And I saw so much pain and so much suffering, and most of the people I loved were dying, every year or so. And it was painful, it was intense. But in the same time, I started asking myself this, let's say, metaphysical questions early as a teenager, right? So you're asking yourself, like, what is this life all about? Why do we come here on earth? What do I have to do while I'm here on earth? Right? So I moved in the capital of Romania, which is Bucharest, when I was 19 years old. And I had one dream to be financially free and to achieve this model of success that society is presenting to us. So, long story short, I became an entrepreneur early in my 20s. God bless me, and obviously, it was a lot of divine grace that I became successful really fast. And I was somewhere around 27 years old, 28 years old, and I achieved most of the things that I wanted in my life. I had a very successful business, a wonderful career. I was an international speaker, traveling, being invited from country to country. I was blessed to be totally, completely financially free and to travel around the world and to have all these crazy ideas and passions and dreams fulfilled. And it was beautiful, right? In an earthly way, I achieved in my universe kind of everything I wanted. I had the car I wanted. I lived in the place I wanted, and it was beautiful. I honor that part of my life. But in the same time, I felt that something is not right. Because after achieving all these things, I was still not fulfilled in my heart and in my soul. I felt that something was missing. You know, it's like something's like an emptiness inside of you. And like, what is this all about? Right? And especially when you achieve the model that society is presenting to you, like this is the model of success, and you get those things and you are still not fulfilled, you're like, where do I go next? I mean, making another million, getting another luxurious car, traveling to another country. Like, obviously, it was not about that. So that's when my spiritual awakening process started. I was in a beautiful place in Mount Athos. It's a holy place in Greece, and I won't share all the story now. But I guess that's when I got to a truly profound connection with my soul, and I started seeing what was going on in there. I started having all these reflections and answers that I guess I was looking for these answers for all my life, right? And everything became so clear, like all the pieces of the puzzle. And I guess it was a shift in my consciousness where my perception changed in one night. And obviously, after that, it was a long process for years, but that's when everything shifted for me. And my perception about myself changed, my perception about life changed, my perception about reality changed, and my perception about the world changed, and relationships and the relationship with money and God and everything in this world. So I consider myself to be blessed because my spiritual awakening didn't came out of suffering. I did go through suffering early as a teenager. That's why I told you the story. And I guess that created the opening. But when I started profoundly going in the spiritual journey, I was in the point where I had what I wanted and I was still not fulfilled. So that's how everything started for me. And then there were years and years and years and years of, I would say, putting most of my focus into the inner work, right? Healing, first of all, and realizing what is happening inside and just realigning my life in everything, and then I was blessed to also start a spiritual working with other souls in their spiritual awakening process, and working on privately with people or through our retreats and events. And I will tell you actually at the end everything with you. But I consider myself to be blessed. This is by far the biggest blessing of my life. I call it spiritual awakening, but in the same time for me is a calling back home, home to our souls, home to our connection with God, with nature, and I would say to a healthy way, harmonious way of living our lives. But in the same time, why did I tell you this? Because for most of the people, the spiritual awakening journey starts through suffering. And I'm sure either you went through it or you have close people around you that went through a process like this. Because usually we're so focused on our lives, our day-to-day activities and our jobs and our businesses and our families and our sports and our Netflix and so on and so forth, that we just leave behind the profundity and authenticity of our souls, meaning what we're truly feeling deep inside, or better said, what are truly our priorities, what is truly happening in your inner world, my friend, in your universe. Because, being so focused on the outer world, mostly we forget about our inner world. We forget about our feelings, we forget about our thoughts, our emotions, we forget about us. Actually, this is maybe the best translation. And in this process, we lose ourselves. We just lose ourselves completely. We lose our souls. And I'm saying it in a metaphorical way, but also in a practical way, because the soul has a volume, like music, right? So earlier we had some challenges also with the music, and you see that the music was not working at some point. It was working for a while, and then it was not working. And I'm thanking my good friend and colleague Ramona for taking care of all the technical part. But in a way, this is what is happening with our souls, because when we're children, the volume of the music is very loud. I will give you an example. I was in Disneyland, as I told you last weekend, with my dear friends, and they have a daughter. She's 5 years old, and she saw a toy at just when we entered Disneyland. And she cried so much for that toy, it was impossible for the parents not to go and get the toy, like literally impossible. So she did everything, everything possible to get the toy. But something interesting. So we went to all kinds of coasters and whatever. But then all the time, whatever you were doing, she was like, no, you have to go and take me to take my toy, to buy my toy. So long story short, she got the toy. But why am I telling you this story? Because kids know what they want. Because the music of their soul is loud. They hear the music of their soul. Their world is very simple. If they want to say I love you, we have another we have another friend of mine that they came to one of our events a few weeks ago, or retreats, and then she came with a child, a boy, is about 10 years old or something, and he came there and he hugged all of us like instantly. For adults to get to this level of connection with someone, hugging someone, that's so crazy. Like, who does that, right? But kids are pure, my friends, because they are connected to their souls. If they love someone, they love someone. If they like someone, they like someone. If they want something, they want something. But for us as adults, we disconnected from our souls. And so the volume, the music of our soul became lower and lower and lower and lower. And just like on a radio station, you put the volume lower and lower, at some point, you won't be able to hear that music. And this is what is we are actually living as a generation, as a society. Now, what is happening through suffering is that suffering many times is the beginning of the spiritual awakening process. Why am I saying that? Because when you go to a trauma, like you get sick, for example, or someone around you gets sick mentally, physically, spiritually, or you go through a divorce, or you go to a bankruptcy, or you lose your job, or whatever, and you can consider this at the larger scale. Like, for example, the pandemic started the spiritual awakening process automatically for millions of souls around the world. Because usually people got out of their comfort zone and all the world was getting crazy. And when you stay with yourself for months in a house, like you have to watch about what's happening inside you, in your thoughts, in your soul, in your relationships, and so on and so forth. So I would guess that a lot of times suffering is not 100% necessary, but unfortunately is the only way people wake up many times. And if we consider this, sometimes suffering is a blessing. And I know it will sound crazy, and I'm sure that some of you maybe have some traumas that you are trying to heal, or you are going through some difficult scenarios. And again, I'm like your brother. I honor your soul, and I'm sorry you are going through all this. But in the same time, this can be the beginning of a new chapter of your life, my friend, because this can be creating an opening for you to really go deep inside and to see what is really happening there, to put again like a mirror in front of you and realizing like who am I? Who am I? And not what's my job. I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a therapist, whatever. No, like who am I? Like what am I? What am I? What is my soul going through? What is going on in my thoughts, in my emotions? What is my life expectancy? How do I want to live my life from now on, my friends? And I would say that this is a beautiful journey. I mean, this is actually the beginning of being alive once again. Because for most people, if you go on the streets, they're alive, but they're not really alive, right? Well, they're alive physically. They're some. I know it sounds a bit harsh, but they're dead because their life became so much like robots, my friends. But when you go to a pain and when you go to a process like this, it's like suddenly you feel like I need to change something. I need to heal. I need to solve this, right? So your focus starts going inside. And then you can arrange, first of all, you can realize what's happening deep inside your soul. And through the spiritual awakening process, you can realign all the aspects of your life. First of all, the relationship with yourself, the relationship with God, the relationship with the most important people you have in your life, family, friends, right, children, spouse, and so on and so forth. You can realign your career and your projects, and then you can go to the road home, which I call the road to fulfillment. Now, I will also share some materials with you guys, because today I mean, my hope with all my heart is that, first of all, you'll start realizing what is really going on with you, because it's going on with most souls. I had the blessings, started working with people since I was 24 years old, and there are so many hundreds and hundreds and courses and seminars and retreats to everything with you. And I realized that although we come from different countries, different cultures, different religions, different backgrounds, different social environments, right? As human beings, we have so many common things, my friends. And in reality, beyond all these layers, we are looking for the same things. We are looking for happiness. We are looking for love. We are looking for fulfillment. We are looking to that deep connection with ourselves. We are looking for a meaningful life. And I saw that most people want to find something to contribute. People love giving. Although they might have gone in a pattern of suffering, of pain, sometimes, this selfishness that has surrounded all of us, as a generation, from 8 billion people living on Earth. This selfishness also has to do with a lot of suffering, because when you go to all this suffering, you have a tendency to close, right? And you just see yourself and your needs, and basically you disconnect from love and disconnect from, loving the ones around you and having a fulfilling life. But then when someone's soul is healed, it will have a natural tendency to offer something, to contribute in the lives of his family, of friends, of communities, and so on and so forth. And it's beautiful, and it's beautiful to watch someone going through the spiritual awakening process. So what we'll discuss tonight, first of all, we'll discuss about what is really spiritual awakening. What does it really mean? We'll learn how to become more aware of our thoughts and emotions. Obviously, it's an ongoing process. Our thoughts, our emotions, we have thousands of them every day, and it's important to realize their connection and basically how we can heal these thoughts and emotions that are stopping and preventing us from truly living a fulfilling life. Then we'll realize that we are or creators of our reality, and how to take responsibility as creators. Yeah, we'll learn how to become present in our lives, and obviously you can observe that most people are not really present. You saw yourself, talking to people, and they look like they're with you, but they're not really with you. Their mind is somewhere else, right? So we'll talk about the state of presence. We'll understand the connection between mind, body, and soul. We'll analyze the effects of awakening our consciousness, and what does it really mean? What are the effects we can expect? And I'm sure that many of you will resonate with a lot of things that you will discover here. Also, we need to be prepared for the turbulence of the spiritual awakening process. And working with people for all these years, I've saw some interesting turbulences, if I is the least I can say. So when you go to a place, for example, we traveled a few days ago for a football game in Germany, from somewhere around Frankfurt to Munich, which is one of the main cities here. And you need a GPS. The GPS is taking you from one place to another. So it's amazing in the spiritual awakening process if you have a GPS, my friend. So you know what to expect. If there are some guidelines in this process, what can harm you if you're not prepared for it. I mean, for example, there when you travel from one place to another, it can be a roadblock. But if the GPS is telling you about the roadblock, obviously you can take another path. And then we'll become aware, and we'll talk more about how to become aware of our beliefs, our blockages, our fears, and our traumas. And all these things are actually preventing us, first of all, from being our true selves. Because most of the times we carry all kinds of masks around us that are actually walls of protection. And they're all coming to block, actually, and to, let's say, protect everything that is going on deep inside. Our blockages, our fears, our traumas, everything that is unhealed. And then we can talk about how can we heal them and how can we become what we really are, our true selves. We learn how to gain clarity on the alignment or the misalignment of our souls into everything we do. right? Think about how many people are truly fulfilled with their careers, their projects, their businesses, or in a relationship, because the soul is telling you, right, what is clear for you, what is right for you, what is your path. But we need to, let's say, have a guideline on how to differentiate what is aligned with what is not aligned with our souls. Then we'll go to the starting to analyze the connection about, let's say, starting a spiritual path and in the same time going in a process of purification. Even our bodies need purification from time to time. That's why there are so many detox therapies and clinics all around the world. So in the same time, our soul and our life, my friends, needs a purification, and we go through all this process. And we'll start, I guess, in a beautiful, we'll end this journey in a beautiful, let's say, hope. And the hope comes from the fact that I think in our generation, especially what is going on right now around the world, my friends, I think we are called home, all of us, as a planet, as human beings, as souls. We're 8 billion people living on planet Earth at this stage, 8 billion something people. And as we were talking at the beginning, how many people that are really blessed, having a blessed life and fulfilled life and being joyful and happy, my friends. And I guess this comes from the fact that we got away from the divine ways that were prepared for us or living our lives. We got to a place of, you know, in a way, working against ourselves, working against all the laws of the universe, working against all the human laws, right? And I'm working against our souls many times, against love, against faith, against kindness, softness, meekness. And when we enter a stage like this of our souls and of our lives, we're so disconnected from ourselves and from God. I would guess that this is the main reason why everything is happening right now around the world. So why do I call it the road home? Because when you wake up spiritually and when you get back to the beautiful, profound connection with yourself, and when you start realigning your life and you start reconnecting to these natural states of faith and hope and joy and laugh and positivity and healing. Yeah, I'm not just saying positivity into everything is positive. When bad things happen, let's say, metaphorically speaking, you know how to process them, you know how to go through them, you know why they're happening, right? And you can heal them. And it's a beautiful journey. That's why I call it the road to home, because it's the road to fulfillment, it's the road to happiness, it's the road to reconnecting to the natural laws of the universe. At the end, I will also have a surprise for you, so I recommend with all my heart staying until the end. And I will share you a bit more about what we are doing. And through the journey of this call, if you have some questions, like something specific that you want to talk about, just please write them down. And at the end, we'll stay for a few more minutes, and I think we can answer 2 or 3 questions privately. You can either write them in the chat when we'll get to the end, or you can open your microphone when we get there and talk directly. So put on a seatbelt and let's start going deeper into what is truly spiritual awakening. So first of all, what is the spirit, my friends? Because obviously we are in a material world, and we know we have our bodies, and we know we have buildings and cars, and now all these technologies and laptops and artificial intelligence right now, and all these technologies that have developed. But in this process of development, of evolution, let's say, material evolution of society, we got away with this detached, let's say, from what we really are. And we are here spirits, my friends. We are here souls. You come here as a soul, you live here as a soul. You come naked, you live naked. No matter how much money you make, no matter how successful you'll be, no matter how whatever, in how many trips you'll go, and or what are the I don't know, labels on your uh, shoes. I'm not saying to disconnect from all of them, but it's so important to remember that we're spirits, right? We're souls. And actually, everything we're doing, from our careers, our relationships, our marriages, our kids, or friendships, like everything we do, it's actually a spiritual journey. All this life is all about is what you are feeling, what your soul is going through, what is the experience of your soul day to day, my friend. And I can ask you just about today, how was the experience of your day today? You woke up in the morning, you went somewhere, now tonight you are in a call that I hope will create a profound, I don't know, new beginning in your life. And it's beautiful. But in the same time, days and days are passing by. It's there are already a few days passed from this week. So many months are passing away, so many years are passing away, and I'm sure you ask yourself the question, where is life going? And what happened to life, right? So I guess spiritual awakening, it's a process where your consciousness is awakening, because being so programmed by society, being so focused on our day-to-day activities and our projects, our careers, our businesses, our relationships, our families, and so on and so forth. As I was telling you in the beginning, we became so much like robots, and we got disconnected from our souls. So the spiritual awakening process is a shift in your consciousness. It's like, that's why it's called awakening. You just start awakening. Like it's a dream. For example, when you sleep in the night, you are mostly dreaming, right? Most of us. And it's a way to connect with our subconscious mind, but you know like you are in a dream state. But in the morning, you wake up, right? Or somewhere in the night when it was an intense dream, and you wake up in the night like, wow, it was a dream. So spiritual awakening is very similar to the way you are waking up in the morning. Because one day, either it can happen like it happened to me, it was a calling, or it can happen to a trauma, a suffering. And then you realize like, wow, whew, wait a second. This is all a dream. Like everything I'm living every day, like my job and my business and my family, like, whoa, wait a second. It's almost like you were in a dream state. And mostly, a lot of the decisions you took in this process were unconscious decisions, right? And you wake up one day and like, you're like, wow, like, how did I get here? I'm 20 years old, I'm 30, I'm 40, I'm 60 years old, I'm 70 years old, but how did I really get to this process? How did I really get to this stage of my life? And I would say it's a process that cannot be really put into words easily. Once you feel it, it's there. It's impossible to miss it, right? But from that moment, I would guess life really starts, because going through this process of spiritual awakening, you start seeing and observing everything that is happening in your life. You start feeling things. You realize why you are in a certain relationship. How do you take that decision? What works there, what doesn't work there? You realize suddenly that so many things are awakening from inside yourself. Like, for example, we'll talk a bit later about some traumas that need healing, right? Some decisions that you take that either affected you or affected other people around you, or the things you are doing with your body, with your health. You realize like, wait, this is good for me, this is not good for me. You are just going, I'm with a good friend here, and she had a bit of an intense day. She was not feeling very sick, but then we went together. There is a close church here, and we spent like a few tens of minutes there, and I didn't even say anything, because I know she's in a beautiful process on her spiritual awakening, but she just needed a few moments of peace with herself, a few tens of minutes, without anyone there interfering, maybe God. But then she realized why she was feeling sick. Because her soul was telling you, like, look, you need to do this and this and this. I won't not go into them because they're intimate things. But this is how spiritual awakening works, my friends. You just can get connected with your soul, and your soul starts speaking to you very clearly once again. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful because that's when you start becoming again a complete human being, not a robot that is doing all kinds of things and activities and jobs and relationships and career and businesses and so on and so forth. No, this time your spirit, your soul is starting to talk to you once again. Now, um, one of the people that started bringing science into the realms of spirituality and starting uniting these two worlds is a doctor called Dr. David Hawkins. I've been studying his work for years and years, and he's such a beautiful soul. And usually these two worlds were very different. By the way, when I'm talking about spirituality, I'm not talking about religion. Obviously, we are here people from different countries, different religion, and I respect your journey, I respect your culture. But that's not what I'm talking about, right? Because religions, obviously, they come with traditions and dogmas and uh, right, and they're different in all parts of the world. I had the blessing of traveling to all the continents, most continents actually. I haven't been to the North Pole, uh, but in the same time, seeing so many different cultures and so many different religions, People, unfortunately, and I observe this with so many thousands of souls, have a tendency of getting disconnected from spirituality because they don't resonate with many of the things happening in their cultures or religions. So when I'm talking about spirituality, I'm not talking about religion, but I'm not talking against religion. I'm just talking about getting to that deep connection with your soul, right? Now, as I told you, usually there were here two worlds. There was the spiritual realm with people that had this, let's say, spiritual experiences and mystical experiences, and they were just looking for this profound, deep connection that can be felt, not necessarily understood by the mind. And that was one world, at least until a few tens of years ago. But then there was the scientific world, the medical world, right? And people are either left-brained or right-brained, and the people that are like this, they have a tendency to put everything to the rational mind, and everything needs scientific explanations and so on and so forth. And there's nothing bad with that. Why did I tell you this? Because Dr. David Hawkins managed, maybe for the first time, or he was one of the first ones who managed to unite the two worlds, the medical part, or let's say the scientific part, the science, with spirituality. And he wrote a book, which I recommend if you want to read. It's called Power versus Force, where for the first time in human history, he managed to, uh, let's say, channel or put in let's say in in words and in science, a map of consciousness. So we can say the soul or the spirit is consciousness. We'll talk about having a consciousness, right? How can you not have the consciousness of hurting someone, for example? So he managed to put in words, my friends, and through science, what is truly happening with the spirit of a human being, right? Or with the consciousness of a human being. And he managed to draw, it's a kinesiological test. I won't go so much into details, but basically he managed to measure what is happening to every soul at his level of consciousness. By the way, if you are looking at this website, I would recommend you to just ask your consciousness, like, where am I in this moment? So if you check here, it starts for the lowest states, right? Shame. People that are in shame or they are in guilt, right? And Dr. David Hawkins managed to also describe what is truly happening in the perception of life of someone. I mean, how does he feel every day? How does he perceive God, relationships, life generally, right? These are really profound things. Like, for example, people that are in shame, they live in humiliation, they feel miserable, they just have the tendency of eliminating themselves. That this is what's happening, for example, with suicidal people. And I had the blessing, like a few years ago, a good friend of mine sent someone that was suicidal, for example, to one of our retreats. And observing, and it's not the only person I met like this, but observing when someone gets to this level of consciousness, they have no more hope, my friends. Everything seems lost, everything seems dark, everything seems cloudy, right? Their states are just miserable every day, and just they just lose hope that that can change. And that's when a lot of people decide to take their lives. And I was blessed to see the transformation of this beautiful soul, just having a shift in consciousness. And I'll explain now what's happening to the higher states of consciousness. When you see that someone connecting back to her soul and connecting back to God and connecting back to that realization why all those things happen, and healing all those things, and just having hope once again, man, being again optimistic about life. And it's just beautiful. It's like a flower that starts blossoming once again. And this is what's happening with us as human beings. And most of people live in these lower states, my friends, that you see here, right? Guilt, shame, fear, by the way, and fear is all around us, right? Think just about the news all around the world. It doesn't matter if you are coming from the United States or if you are coming from Europe or Australia or Africa. Like in most of the continents, most of the countries around the world, like most of the news are negative, my friends. You hear about all the wars, you hear about all the sickness, sick people, all the diseases. I mean, just about the pandemic. If you think about it, all the news were just about the virus and how many people are dying. So when you keep people in so much fear, in so much frustration, in so much shame, right, they just lose hope. And that's why you put the human spirit in chains. And this is what's happening with us as human beings, my friend. We are living in chains. Although we might be free physically, we're not in a prison, we're in a mental, emotional, and spiritual prison. when we live in these states. Then I guess this is when spiritual awakening starts happening, because you make a shift in consciousness, starting first of all with courage. You see here, these are states of consciousness. They are not just feelings. Obviously, when you think about courage or love, or right, you think about a feeling of having courage. A feeling, it's something that I guess triggers that state, but they are different. The feeling is something you feel in your soul, in your heart. A state of courage, for example, is when you bring courage in all aspects of your life. You put courage you see courage in the world, you see courage in your side yourself. You have courage, you can connect anytime to this level of courage on taking the decisions you need to take in your family life, in your relationships, in your with your body, with your health, with your projects, with God, and so on and so forth, right? So it's a state of consciousness. Then, as you can see there, when you courage is actually the shift starts from courage, because until courage we're living in low vibrational states, and our lives is mostly about being sad or shameful or in tears or suffering or pain or right fear and so on and so forth, and it's like we're trapped in these states. So starting from courage up, you see there, with willingness, with acceptance, we are starting having this shift in consciousness. So that's when we get our power back. That's when we can liberate ourselves from all this change. And this is where, my friends, and this is beautiful. I saw it with so many hundreds and hundreds of people. This is when human beings become themselves once again. They just awaken a new version of themselves, right? And that's when they can connect to that really divine nature that we are all deep inside, that kids have deep inside, right? When they can be again positive and happy and loving and having faith again and being creative in their projects, their families, and so on and so forth. And it's beautiful. Now, obviously, starting with the higher states, love is not, and actually, this is my life's work. Supporting my dear brothers and sisters, which we all are, brothers and sisters of God, and supporting people, other souls, in going to the state of consciousness of love and beyond it, right? Because I think we were born like that. That's why kids mostly, they are loving, my friends. They live in love. It's our natural state. But when we go through so much suffering, so much shame, so many tears, so much disappointments from people, right? And we are so bombarded from all the scenarios of our life since we were kids until we're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old. We get detached from our natural states. And love is our natural state. It's our divine state. This is how we were all created, in love. And I guess my life's work is about spiritual awakening. And this is the consequence, getting back to the state of consciousness of love and putting this state of consciousness in everything you do, with your family, with your friends, with yourself, with your body, with your relationship, with your projects, with God, and so on and so forth. Now, one of the key things in the spiritual awakening process is becoming aware, especially of our thoughts and emotions. And for example, obviously, you can observe around you, like when you think certain thoughts, and I would just invite you for this. If you think now about the most difficult moment you had in your life, can you think about, I mean, I'm just doing a test, and please, let's do it so you can observe it yourself. Just think about the most difficult scenario you ever lived in your life. Just go there for a few seconds. I know it was painful. I know you don't want to go there. I know it's, something you just maybe start wanting to close, somewhere in under the bed. But just go there for a few seconds. Where were you? What did you live? What did you feel? Okay. So this was the thought. With the thought, you went there to that scenario. And now what I want to ask you is, how do you feel right now? I mean, if you went to a profound spiritual healing, you might feel the blessing of what happened there, right? You might feel that there is something like, I can talk now about the scenario with my dad. It was a blessing, although it was very painful, obviously, because that started my spiritual journey, I would say. But if I wouldn't have this years and years of healing, it will be something sad, right? And it will be painful. And I'm sure that most of you, when you went to that scenario, it was painful, right? It was painful, it was sad, it was consuming energy away from you. right? So it was putting you in a specter of emotions that were, I wouldn't say negative, but they were consuming, right? They were disrupting your natural state. Okay, but now let's go to the other part. I want you to think for a few seconds about the most beautiful moment you lived in this life. The first one that comes, or two, three of them. Something beautiful, something magical, something full of love when your heart was so like, just like a flower. You felt so much love and so much happiness and so much. Okay, I'm seeing some smiles here. Adelaide, I see you smiling. Luminica, smiling. Alina, come on, let's put a smile. Think about something beautiful, something that really filled your heart, that was a blessing for you. It was something so magical. And just remember where you were for a few seconds. You can close your eyes or keep them open. Just go there for a few moments. Where were you in the moment, my friend? What did you feel in that moment? What did you live in that moment? That's it. I'm seeing some smiles. I'm seeing some tears from some of you, right? And this is the power of the soul, my friends. This is what we really are deep inside. We are just living so much in our minds that we got disconnected from the soul, right? But the soul is calling us back, like Razvan, Anna, Sabina, Ramona, Adelaide, Luminica. Come on, come home. Come back home. And I guess one of the key things that is starting when we go through the spiritual awakening process is becoming conscious of our thoughts and the emotions those thoughts are triggering inside ourselves. Now we have a wonderful, um, let's say, power that is coming from the factory settings, and it's the power of imagination. We can imagine things, and sometimes we can live all these things like they are real today. Like, for example, if you are thinking about something beautiful and creative and productive, you'll generally live in very high states of consciousness. You'll be mostly, I'm not saying all the time, but you'll be mostly happy and fulfilled and grateful and creative, and you'll have a lot of inner energy to give to all around you, to your projects, to your businesses, to your soul, to your connection with God, right? Because when you have positive thoughts and emotions, those positive thoughts and emotions are creating energy inside of you. And everything is energy, my friends, right? The battery of my phone, the laptop, everything you are using is energy, right? You need electricity. Electricity is energy. But we are also energy generators. So when the thoughts and emotions are high, that's why I gave you this example. I wanted you to experience it, not to believe me, right? Don't believe anything I'm saying if you don't feel it deep in your heart, right? But you observe, like, when you are have higher thoughts, right? High vibrational thoughts, high vibrational emotions, your energy is getting lifted just in a few seconds, like that. And you have the energy to create, you have energy to do things, you have energy, first of all, to be yourself. But when your thoughts and your emotions are in a very low vibration, that's consuming all of most of your energy, my friend. That's why, by the way, as a side note, that's why a lot of people get physically sick, right? They get a cancer, they get all kinds of diseases, from simple ones to more advanced ones, because their traumas, and we'll talk a bit about this, but when the thoughts and emotions are mostly in such a negative pattern, that's consuming most of your energy, even your vital energy that your body needs to be healthy, right? So we have to be good gardeners, like a good gardener, of our thoughts and our emotions. And I'm not saying, by the way, this is not positive thinking, whatever. This is everywhere around all the personal development world. I'm just saying of being really aware of your thoughts. Now, for example, today, you woke up in the morning, you went to your bathroom, you went to your job, you went to your business, and you did so many things, my friends. You got thousands of thoughts, thousands, right? It's happening nonstop. And I guess a good start, and I recommend you to do this, is just start zooming in on these thoughts that you have day by day. Are they positive thoughts, productive thoughts, fulfilling thoughts, of, I don't know, creative thoughts, empowering thoughts, or they're really destructive? Because when you're, as I was saying earlier, my friends, when the mind gets to go into this state of negativity, the role of the mind is to produce more thoughts and more thoughts and more thoughts, and you just get into this spiral of negativity right? That you are trapped, right? Because negative thoughts produce negative emotions. Positive thoughts produce positive emotions. Negative thoughts and negative emotions take energy away from you. But when the habit has been created for days or months or weeks or years, you are just in a spiral of negative thoughts and negative emotions. That's why the spiritual awakening is beautiful, right? And the first step is to observe them and get out of the spiral. Wait a minute. I'm thinking so negatively. Like, for example, if you think about, I know, I'm doing a car accident. 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 Yes, you did. You did a car accident because you put so much thought, so much thoughts, so much emotions. And we'll talk about the creative process in a moment. First of all, you manifested this scenario, and I will explain exactly how you manifested it. But at the same time, you are living in a state of fear, my friend. You are living in this change that I was talking about. So this is one of the first step, and maybe you can create a note in your phone and just have a journal and write down like, what are my natural thoughts and emotions day by day. This is the first step in everything. Whatever you want to heal, whatever you want to change, whatever you want to transform, remember this as a friend. I'm telling you, right? The first step is to observe, to become conscious of it. Once you become conscious of something, I think it's 50% healed, because you know the root, you know the cause. Now, in the same time, I was talking about being creators. And in my best personal development book is still for me the Bible, right? I read the Bible. I had years of waking up with the Bible, going to bed with the Bible. And even if you are from a different country or culture or religion, and I'm not talking this from a religious perspective. I'm talking here about a manual for spiritual development. Obviously, there are many things that you might not resonate from the Bible. It doesn't matter about from which religion you come from. But if you want to find the truth, you can find the truth. And why did I make this introduction? Because there is a beautiful chapter there, actually, in the first book of the Bible, the book of Genesis. And I'm sure you heard about it, right? That God created us from his own self appearance, right? So we are two things. First of all, we are creation. And this is the true humbleness we need to go through as human beings, my friends. We need to feel and to know deep in our hearts that we have been created. It's impossible. By the way, in the spiritual awakening process, you just get connected to nature, to everything. You start seeing that even your body, I mean, think about how many processes are happening in your body, my friend, right? From the breathing, you take oxygen in your, right through your uh, lungs, and that oxygen goes through all your cells and the blood. And like, it's impossible not to be an intelligence behind all of this, right? And you feel that deep inside. And that comes from the true and profound humbleness that we are creation, right? And again, I'm not talking here about religion. I'm not trying to project on your religious God. Leave behind that. But just, I do believe with all my heart there is a God. And it doesn't matter from that. Yeah, yes, I'm not talking from a religious perspective, but there is someone, there is a powerful spirit, a creator, let's say, that created all of us. And if we believe in this and we see that in everything happening all around, and if he created us like him, that means that we're also creators. And you know, I started my, first of all, the personal development journey when I was 20 something years old. I told you I had a desire to be financially free when I was in early in my 20s. And I started studying all the best trainers and book writers from the last tens of years on the world. And it helped me a lot. I was also looking for more profundity into spirituality later on. But at that stage, I got almost obsessed, like, how do we create our reality? And it's very simple, my friends. It's not something that complex. What is complex is managing all these four processes. So how to create something? We're creating reality with our thoughts. That's why I told you earlier, we need to be 100% responsible for our thoughts. Right? What am I thinking? Like, for example, I want to start a project, and I'm sure many of you had so many beautiful ideas. Who here ever had an idea to start something like a business, a career, a project, a therapy, or something, right? All of us, right? But then you have to understand, like, what are the thoughts that I have regarding this project? Because if you think about the project, like, look, I would love to do this, and this is so beautiful. I feel it with all my heart. but I don't believe in myself. I don't believe in people. I don't think I'll find the money. I don't think I'll have the resources. I don't need, and so on and so forth. You are getting stuck in your thoughts, right? And it's almost impossible to create something beautiful. This is where our mind, unfortunately, becomes our enemy, because the mind is like a computer, my friends. You are telling the computer what to do. So that's why I told you I'm not talking here about positive thinking in that perception that personal development, modern personal development is trying to promote it. I'm talking about being aware of our thoughts. Like, even if I have a negative thought, like, for example, I want to start a project, but at the same time, I don't trust myself. I don't trust I can be successful in that project. So disciplining our thoughts is not just thinking positively and making affirmations of day long and putting loud music and jumping. Okay, that can work also. It can be helpful for a while. But the most efficient thing that I found personally is getting to the cause of that thought. Like, why don't I believe in myself? What really happened to me? And then you go to a trauma, you go to an experience, you go to your childhood where your parents told you that you are not good enough, you'll never succeed, or so on and so forth. Right? We'll have different scenarios, but that's when you get to the root of the thoughts, my friends. Right? And when you get to the root of the thoughts, that's when you can create massive transformation, and that's beautiful. Right? So this is the first step of creation, through our thoughts. Right? And if you think about everything you created, I mean, you bought something, for example, you bought a car, you bought, I don't know, a house, you bought some clothes, you bought, I don't know, something, like a machine in your house. How did you buy it? First of all, you thought about it. Like, I need a car, I need a new car, I need a house, or I need something, right? So you thought about it before having it in the material world. Second step of creation is through our emotions. That's why, my friends, and I'm connecting to what I was saying earlier, it's important to have empowering emotions, right? But they are very connected with our thoughts. As I was saying earlier, when thoughts have a low vibration, emotions have a low vibration, and the energy is very low. It's simple, right? It's physics. When thoughts are high, how do you feel? Like, for example, if you want to start a project, regarding the example I gave earlier, right? If you want to start a project and you are starting thinking positively about that project, like, I know I can succeed, and I know I can find the resources, and I trust. By the way, faith has an amazing role here. And I'm not talking about faith in a religion. I'm talking about faith as an inner state, my friend. Faith, is a state that you have or you don't have deep inside you. But when you go to this state of having faith, literally you can move mountains. Right? Because that's when you accelerate all your creative potential. That's when you truly become powerful as a creator, through the energy of faith. Because when you don't have faith, you'll have disbelief or fear. So when you have disbelief or fear, obviously you'll lower your thoughts, you'll lower your emotions, you'll lower your energy, and you'll lower your capacity to create something. But when you are in a state of faith, right? Whatever you want to do, it can be in the spiritual realm, in the physical realm, in a relationship. In this state of faith, my friend, your thoughts will be high, right? There will be empowering thoughts. I know I can do this. I know I can have God behind me. I know I can find the resources, the support. I know it, and it's a state of feeling. And when you think like that, in a state of faith, we can call it positive, but in this sense that I was telling you about, right? It's empowering thoughts. Your emotions will be very high. You'll feel that faith deep inside you, right? You'll feel guided, and you'll feel fulfilled, and you'll feel you have energy, and you'll feel like you truly can move mountains. Your emotions will be high. And from the state of thoughts and emotions, my friends, your energy will be high. And as I was saying earlier, you will need energy to build anything. A relationship, if you have kids, you obviously need so much energy. I spent 2, 3 days with the kids of my friends, and it's if you have kids, you know what I'm talking. It's consuming, right? Everything needs energy. So that's why we need to discipline our thoughts and emotions. That was the second step of creation. The third step of creation is through our words. That's why it's so important, my friends, what's coming out of our mouths. Words can be like magic in a way, right? Metaphorically speaking, they can be black magic or white magic. That's why I'm giving this example. And they can be black magic for ourselves or for the ones around. That's why we need to be so responsible, so aware. That's where true spiritual awakening starts, what's even going through my mouth? Every word that I'm saying, everything that I'm saying, it's something empowering, it's something positive, it's something beautiful. Is this empowering me? It's empowering the ones around me, or it's something very destructive for me or for the ones around. And I just want to ask you something. Have you ever heard some words someone said to you that were so painful that you prefer to be slapped instead of someone telling those words? They just remain with you for years. You know, someone told you something that was so painful, right? That's the power of words, my friends. And by the way, I'm sure you said some nasty words to someone too at some point, right? But in the same time, just think about when someone tells you something beautiful, right? You become like a flower, my friend. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. Like, we all become like flowers when we hear beautiful words. Like, you're beautiful and I trust you and you're a good human being, you're a good soul and you're smart and you're creative, and like it's like watering a flower, you know? This is how we were created by God, to be like this. So that's why it's so important to discipline our thoughts, emotions, and words. And then the last part of the creation process is through our actions. And I guess this is part of my spiritual work that I do, because people have a tendency, especially in our generation. The good news is that spirituality is becoming more and more, let's say, promoted around the world. More and more people are spiritual awakening, and it's beautiful. It's really wonderful. We're living some very beautiful moments. But what I observed that most people have a tendency to go in the extremes. And why do I mean by that? A lot of people, like I would guess most people, live unconscious lives, and this is obvious. All their life is about food and sex and their cars and their projects and their businesses, their careers, and that's it. That's the only world they know, and they're disconnected from the spiritual world. But then there is also, I would guess, a trend that is happening right now all around the world, because so much people become spiritually awakened and spiritually evolved, and life become all about meditations and psychedelic therapies and all kinds of forms of transcending and evolving our consciousness and so on and so forth. But they get disconnected from the material world, and then the universe just starts slapping them, and they don't have money for their houses or their family's education, their kids' education, or their you know just being well with everything. And obviously it's creating this harmony, my friends. So I guess my life's work is about creating unity between the material world and the spiritual world, because we are spiritual beings, and it's important to become conscious that we are spiritual beings, but we are still living in this 3D dimension, in the material world. So we can truly reach the fullness of our potential when we manage to unite all these worlds. So this is how we create them. That's why I told you the last step of creation is through our actions. We cannot just stay in a chair and meditate all day and be praying, I will have hundreds of thousands of dollars and I will be enlightened and I will be a therapist and I will impact millions of lives around the world, but I just stay here in the chair all day long. Like, it doesn't work like that, my friends. You need to do things right in this material world. So I guess the balance is learning how to work with all these four processes: thoughts, emotions, words, and actions. And that's how we become the creators of our reality. Obviously, we are already doing it, but just mostly doing it in a destructive way, or I would say an unconscious way. When we are spiritual awakening, we are doing it consciously, because we become aware of our thoughts, our emotions, our words, and the actions we do day by day. Another key thing in this journey is about learning to be present, my friends. And what do I mean by that? Just, I was asking you also earlier, do you see around us, with most people, we're not present anymore. We're not present in our lives, my friends. We're not present in our relationships. I mean, I'm seeing, for example, even people coming to our events, and I'm seeing sometimes parents being so disconnected from the children sometimes, because we are in this, I would say, technology evolution, and people and young kids, they have access to smartphones and all these apps. And actually, I was to a trip a few years ago, and I saw something that was so brutal, because there was a family at a table. I was in Turkey. We had a dinner, and there was a family at the table. So there were husband and wife, and they had two daughters, two kids. And my friends, I'm not exaggerating, tens of minutes, maybe an hour, while I was next to them, all four members of their families were on their phones nonstop. The father was on his phone, the mother was on her phone, and the kids were on their phone. And I was watching them and I was like, wow, this is not about this family. This is like what's happening in the world. This is how where human consciousness got at this stage. We became so disconnected from our lives, from being present, my friends. And you saw so many times when you try to talk to someone, as I was saying earlier, and their mind is just all over the place, right? They're not present anymore. So presence, is a state of being. And being present means being here now. And you just think about all the things we do day by day. I mean, just think about when you go to the bathroom and you take a shower, you brush your teeth, or you eat something. I mean, for example, in one of our events, we have an advanced retreat where we have people eating with some masks on their eyes so they can truly feel the taste of food again, my friends. Why? Because we are eating so compulsively. This is what unconsciousness brought us as a generation. People eat like this, where the generation of fast foods around the world, fast food, fast restaurants, yeah, almost everything became compulsive. And we're not present anymore. Where was the last time you felt the joy of eating something, of being present, of breathing, you know? And I guess spiritual awakening is taking you to a process of wanting, first of all, and then succeeding on becoming more and more present. Like, look, right now I'm eating and I'm just enjoying this wonderful food. I'm blessed to be able to eat when there are so many people in Africa and so many places around the world, they don't have food. Right now I'm with you. By the way, I'm not anywhere because usually the mind is either in the past to something that happened like tens of years ago or 1 year ago or 10 days ago or 3 hours ago, or it's in the future projecting something, what the mind wants to achieve, what the mind wants to, where it wants to succeed, and so on and so forth. Or let's say a negative scenario that is projecting all the time, but we're not present. So this is the key, my friends, to learn to be present. So right now I'm with you, obviously. I'm here 100%. I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm just allowing the universe to speak whatever it wants to speak. And it's beautiful. And this is what I invite you. I don't want you to just say like, look, I was part of a webinar and I got some ideas. Like, these ideas are not ideas. These are universal principles. They work 1000%. But what I want to invite you is just reflect more upon them and work on them into day-to-day activities. If you take like 3, 4 ideas from tonight, it's beautiful, but start applying them from today and from tomorrow into day-to-day life. One of them is presence. So what can help you being present? Two things, simple things. First of all is breathing. When you breathe consciously, there is a deep connection to your spirit and your mind that is bringing you right here, right now. But you need to do it consciously. So when you take a few deep breaths, there is obviously a chemistry happening also here, right? When the oxygen, especially right up a bigger quantity of oxygen gets into your lungs, it goes to the brain, and it just calms down the mind. I won't get into the chemicals of what's happening here, but it's also biological process. So usually the modern human mind is very compulsive. The mind is everywhere, all around the place, like a dog that is running from one place to another. It's not disciplined anymore. But when you breathe consciously, you just bring yourself automatically to the present moment. So I would recommend you doing that more and more often into day-to-day life. And then also give a command to your mind. For example, as I told you earlier, right now, I'm obviously with you in an online meeting, and I'm feeling great, by the way. I'm having fun, and we got through the technical issues we had at the beginning, and I'm happy. I'm joyful. I'm so happy being here with you. Right? But I'm present. I feel everything that is happening is wonderful. And I'm not anywhere else. And this is important for you to train every day, my friend, right? Train your presence day by day. Right now, I'm eating. Right now, I'm with my dear friend. Right now, I'm with the person I love the most. Right now, by the way, remember the example with the parents and the kids with the phones? One of the main things that is hurting children is the absence of their parents, my friends, as a generation. And when I'm talking about absence, I'm not talking just about physical absence. Obviously, we're in a generation with most of the parents, you know, they have careers and jobs and businesses, and they leave their kids with babysitters and so on and so forth. And unfortunately, they're not that present anymore in right their children's lives. But there is even a deeper absence when parents are physically present but are spiritually absent. You understand what I'm saying? They are there, but they're not really there. They are with the kids, but they're on their phones, they're on their emails, they are with the mind, you know, with their minds is thinking about their projects or their career or the money or their invoices they have to pay and so on and so forth. And this is very painful for a child because a child feels the spiritual and mental absence of the parent, although that parent is physically there with him. This is also happening in relationships, my friends. You know, people even that love each other, but they become absent in the lives of each other, right? All of them, like both of them, just focusing so much on their projects and their own inner journey and so on and so forth. And they don't give themselves that beautiful gift of presence. First of all, they need to be present with themselves so they can be present with other people that they love. But then when we learn to be present with ourselves, my friend, that's when we truly are able to be present with the ones we love. And we're able to be present, you know, with our husbands, our wives, our children, our parents, our partners, our clients. And this is what's making the difference in this world, my friend, presence, right? Because when someone is present and it's connected to you and it's there holding your space and interested about what you're saying about your soul, that's when true, profound, authentic human connections and relationships are being created, my friends. And this is what we're missing as a generation. And then we have to understand there is a very deep connection between our body, our mind, and our spirit. And when we are going through this process of spiritual awakening, we're becoming very conscious on all three components that we are as a being. First of all, we're not a body, but we have a body, right? And I would guess when I say, and I don't want to hurt anyone. And again, if I'm saying some things that I'm triggering something into you, the last thing I want to do is to trigger you or to hurt you, right? I'm just talking about, you know, my own journey and what I observed in myself and what I observed obviously working with all these people. But I would say that authentic spirituality can be observed also in the way someone is taking care of his body or her body. And I'm not talking about the physical appearance. I'm talking about the health and vitality concept, right? Because when you are truly spiritually awakening, you are like, what am I doing here? How did I come to this world? What is this life all about? But also, you get to realize that this body, my friends, is a vehicle and is taking you from point A to point B in this lifetime, right? From the moment you are born to the moment you die. And, you know, having all these, I would say, intense experiences with my dad died from cancer. My grandparents, both of them died from cancer, right? My grandmother lost her kidneys, and my other grandmother, poor soul, she was such a beautiful soul, her heart stopped, right? But seeing, you know, all these people that I love getting sick is like, how does this body is really working, my friends? How does it work? And how can I take care of it? Apostle Paul says is the best. Like, don't you know your bodies are the temples in which the Holy Spirit is living? Wow, what a perception, my friend. Just think about something. And I'm sure that all of you are going into let's say a process of changing some things regarding your health, your nutrition, your sports, and so on and so forth. Some of you, I'm sure you were really affected on your health. And again, I'm talking as a brother. You know, I know I might trigger some things, but I'm doing it from a loving place. I want you as a brother to become conscious of it. Because being really connected spiritually is also in the perception we have around our bodies, my friend. Because if the body is considered a temple, what a perception that is. How can I take care of this temple? What kind of food should I eat? Right? What kind of air should I breathe? What kind of water should I drink? What do I need to exercise? Do I need to do things? Do I need to take care of this beautiful blessing God gave me, right? Which is a vehicle taking me from point A to point B, taking me from the moment I was born to, when this life will end, and it will end at some point. So we need to take care of the body. And by the way, to all my work, as I told you, it's uniting the material world with the spiritual world, including health. I guess health is a big part of spirituality. If you bring consciousness into the changes we have to take. For example, I'm so proud we had an event like a month ago or so, where we had 3 people in that event that quit smoking after tens of years, some of them. And we have, anyway, we're doing this powerful process, and it's in a campfire, and they just woke up and they just threw their cigarettes in a fire. And I was so proud of them. I was just like honoring them because they managed. I mean, I think all the smokers realize that it's a destructive pattern, right? You are just destroying your body. And I don't think there is any soul that is not conscious of this. But at the same time, people cannot quit smoking or drugs or alcohol or sugar or, compulsive sex or compulsive movies or and so on and so forth. It's like chains that we have around us. But how can we bring spirituality into the relationship we have, even with our bodies, becoming conscious? What do I mean becoming conscious? For example, in the process we go through, we're taking the human conscious and the human spirit, not just realizing rationally the kind of harm he is doing to himself or to herself, but really feeling that harm and going to the cause. And this is the key, my friends. If you want to take something from this online meeting, take this, please. Whatever you want to heal, whatever you want to transcend, whatever you want to do in your life, the key thing is go to the cause all the time. What caused that scenario? What caused that divorce? What caused that uh, bankruptcy? What caused that relationship to end? What caused that, by the way, with your body? The diseases we have, they're not coincidences, my friend. We also have right now medicine that is studying psychosomatics. And basically, it's very simple. All these emotions, all these negative scenarios, all these traumas that we have deep inside, they become diseases. This is not a mystical perception. No, medicine, right? Science is putting right now all this perception into right, and us understanding there is such a deep connection between our souls, our emotions, our thoughts, and our bodies, including disease. So when you get to the cause of why something has been created, and your body, by the way, is talking to you all the time. If you have a headache, by the way, I told you about my good friend. She had a powerful headache all day long, and I'm so proud of her. She's so conscious, and we spent a few tens of minutes together. And I, because I know she's in this beautiful project, I didn't even say anything. And then after tens of minutes, she realized, like, wow, this is what the headache has been all about. Right? That's what my body is trying to tell me. And it's beautiful, but you need to be conscious with your body. Then also conscious with your mind. We talked about our minds, my friends. Our minds are computers. We are not our bodies and we are not our minds. They are tools, right? The body is a vehicle. Let's say the mind is a supercomputer. And it's important to understand the role of the mind, right? The mind is designed to take you from point A to point B. The mind has created all this technology, right? The internet and all these computers, and right now the artificial intelligence and all the buildings and all. It's beautiful. It's wonderful what the mind can do if, and this is important, what I'm saying, if the mind is a servant. The human mind has been built to be a servant, which means, like, I'm giving commands to this computer. By the way, it didn't work for almost 2 hours, but right now it's working, thank God. Right? But I was giving the commands of what I want this computer to do, to open some slides, start a Zoom call, connect to the internet, and so on and so forth, start a camera so we can be here. But I gave these commands to the computer. So this is how the human mind works when you give the commands, which is you, the spirit, the soul that is deep inside. But unfortunately, my friends, our minds as a generation are programmed right now. They're programmed to our families. Imagine that everything you are right now, it doesn't matter if you are 20 years old or 60 years old, you are a program of the environment you grew up with, in which you grew up with, right? All your patterns, all your family's perception, right? Generational trauma sometimes that were carried from one member of the family to another, right? Their behaviors, all their perceptions about life, they were passed on to you, especially in the first 7 years when you were a child. Then you went to school. Then you went maybe studying something, you went to university or you started a career, you had a certain environments of your friends, right? You were exposed to hundreds of, let's say, gigabytes of that data that were introduced in your mind. Now, especially in the last 10, 20 years, the internet exploded, right? We had the media until now, right? So we are programmed to the media. And now you have the internet, social media, internet, right? The Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all these, right? The social platforms. So you are being fed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of perceptions and beliefs and ways of thinking and so on and so forth. So what did I say this? Because we are not really ourselves anymore, my friends. So when we think about something, sometimes we say, I'm thinking that. But actually, is this database of information that were introduced to you since you were a child until now. And when you take a decision not based on your soul, not based on your intuition, not based on the path that you are being called upon deep inside you from the inner voice you have, but from all this database that you heard all around you. Just think about something, my friends. How many people are really fulfilled with their jobs or their businesses? I'm giving you an example. It's, for example, in Romania, a lot of people choose, for example, working in IT because it's very highly paid, right? They have nothing to do with IT. A lot of them. I mean, for people that love programming, is beautiful, but a lot of people have nothing to do with it. They went there because they can earn more money. They went there because I know their parents told them to go there. And just think about how many people, how many kids are choosing their schools, their universities, their careers, their projects because of the perception of the parents, my friends. This is the world we're living with. And that's why I said that the mind became the master, unfortunately, instead of being the servant. Because all these programs, all these beliefs became part of us, although they are very destructive in many ways from us. So we need to detach a bit from the mind and realize from everything the mind is doing, which part of it is aligned with me and which part of it is not aligned with me, which thoughts are really my thoughts, which means they're aligned with my soul, they're coming from my soul, or they're coming from all these programs that I got since I was a child and until today. And also, we need to learn again that we're spirits, my friends. As I was saying earlier, we come as spirits, we live as spirits. We have a spiritual journey on this planet called Earth. And, uh, this is the road to happiness, and I'm sure that deep inside yourself, and I'm sure this is why you came here. This is one of the reasons you are looking for fulfillment. And you realize that a lot of the things you've done until now, like I've done them too, they might have brought you satisfaction, they might have brought you moments of peace, moments of happiness, but they didn't bring you to that real ha- profound state of happiness, authentic happiness, and authentic fulfillment, right? And the mind cannot do that, right? The mind cannot do that, my friend. Again, the mind is a computer. The purpose of the mind is not to make you happy, is to help you achieve information and organize things and create things, and it's beautiful. But you have to be the master of the mind as a spirit, as a soul. True fulfillment will be like kids, right? Just coming back to your soul and reconnecting to all these beautiful states that you have deep inside you. And in the same time, releasing and liberating, we'll talk about it in a bit, all the traumas, all the negative scenarios, all the pain, all the suffering, all the hurt that you have lived during your life. Now, these are the positive effects of spiritual awakening. First of all, connecting yourself with your soul, maybe for the first time in tens of years. This is a blessing. I cannot even put it in words. It makes me emotional, right? Just feeling your soul once again and hearing that music once again and have your heart opening again, my friend. Just it's about living, being alive once again, coming out of this robotic state of living life, which is so painful, right? To being alive once again. And it's beautiful, it's wonderful. It's about other effects of spiritual awakening is also realizing some of the luggages, unnecessary luggages, metaphorically speaking, that you have carried with you as a child, as a teenager, as an adult, from businesses, projects, relationships, right? And you just start liberating them, which is beautiful. You start flying once again. As I was saying, you have um, the power to create once again, right? Create first of all, create another life, create projects, create ideas, create, having this beautiful energy that comes from the fact that you are once again aligned with your soul. So when you do something, you feel it deep inside, and that's when your soul is feeding you with the energy you need to create all these beautiful things. Also, it's the roots. I mean, when I'm talking about spirituality, we're talking about the fruits, oh, that we want to enjoy from doing something, my friends. For example, if you are doing a business, you are expecting, I don't know, maybe to be financially free, financially secure, right? It's something practical. But when you think about spiritual awakening, how can you translate that? How can it be practical? So spiritual awakening and the effects of it, I mean, the fruits of it is in the states you live. So now, obviously, first of all, imagine there are thousands of religion if we mix spirituality with religion, right, around the world. Now there are thousands of therapies like Reiki or Theta Healing or so many plant medicine. But I told you I was for about 10 years deep into what's really happening around spirituality all around the world. And I'm not the one to put labels on which one is the right path, which one is the wrong path, right? I'm not a judge, right? God knows better, right? But I can tell you something that you can observe spiritual authenticity into the states of the person. What do I mean by that? Every authentic spiritual practice should take you to natural peace. Yes, people that are truly spiritual are peaceful, my friends. And I'm not saying peaceful just in the fact that they are not violent. I mean, you feel peace around them. They they don't even need to say something. Just by looking at them, just by spending time around them, you just feel that peace deep inside. Right? They have faith. Right? They're usually loving people, right? And you just feel their love. You feel them. Right? You feel their hearts. You see that love in their eyes, and it's authentic. It's natural. They care, right? And you feel the goodness, right? They're usually kind people, right? You feel that kindness inside their souls, and just, I guess, good human beings, my friend. I was posting a few days something on in social media. It's a code that I just an image came and I was like, a young man was asking um, an older man, like, what do you think I should do with my career, right? And that old man is saying something like, you should try to be a very good human being. It's it's something very precious, and the competition is very low, right? And I guess this is what the planet really needs, my friend. Just good human beings. And this is what authentic spiritual practices should be taking you to, right? Really becoming yourself once again and having faith and having trust and being a good human being and being creative and being happy and joyful and loving with the ones around and kind. And by the way, patience. Patience is a big effect of spiritual awakening. And by the way, when I'm talking about all this, I'm not all these fruits. I'm not saying that you are pressing a button and suddenly you are at the ultimate level of faith and patience and love. And obviously, it's a process, but you are doing it consciously. Just like when you are the CEO of a project, you are considering the vision of that project, and you are, managing all the resources of that project. It can be human resources, financial resources, so you can achieve that vision, that objective you have as a CEO. So in a way, we are all the CEOs of our own lives. So even if we are not right now, let's say at number 10 of, I don't know, for example, patience, right? Or kindness or, faith, we can observe where we are right now, but we are going into a process of achieving that level that we want in all aspects of our lives, my friends. And this is the beautiful part of spiritual awakening. Now, it will be beautiful. It will be if it will be all sunshine and rainbows to the spiritual awakening process, but it's usually not like that. It's sometimes like that, and it takes to a place like that, but that doesn't mean turbulences do not appear. So what are the kind of turbulences that can appear in a spiritual awakening process? One of them is realizing that you are not aligned with many things that are happening in your life. And you entered relationships compulsively. You have friendships that are not aligned with you anymore. You have projects, businesses, careers that are not aligned with you anymore. Uh, you a turbulence can be also a physical disease, right? You went unconsciously into doing something to yourself or to others for such a long time that the body is telling you like that's it, like, right, and a disease appears. Or as I told you at the beginning, someone around you is going through something painful, right? I was talking to a friend uh, a few weeks ago. We had a lunch together, and it's someone, a dear friend of mine, very successful, like multi millionaire, very well known in our home country, and it's something I care dearly. And but he was having an unconscious way of living life, and I will not go into details. You know, all this success and money sometimes brings um, unfortunate behaviors in which we hurt ourselves and we hurt others many times. Um, and he told me, like, when I woke up when my wife got sick, and when she got sick, and obviously it was the possibility of her dying, I was just in so much pain, and I was realizing what I was doing to myself and to her. I was like, I have to change, right? So these are the kinds of turbulences that we can expect, my friends. And then also it's more advanced things, and I will not, obviously it's our, with many of you, it's our first meeting, but you start really getting connected also to what is happening in yourself, but also to what is happening in other people. And you get connected to everything in the spiritual realm, and sometimes all kinds of entities and so on and so forth. And obviously, it's a stage. I'm sure the universe is giving all of us what we are prepared to go through in every stage. But we have to expect some turbulences. And for example, when you fly, I'm sure many of you, you flew with an airplane, and that's what they are preparing to, right? They are telling you when you, before the flight, right? If turbulences appear, right, the mask will come on. You need to put the mask, and oxygen will come, and obviously you go through all these turbulences. And sometimes in the spiritual awakening process, things can happen, right? You'll realize, first of all, you have to change some things, and you have to work on changing them. By the way, I don't recommend going into samurai mode. There are two ways of changing yourself, basically. The first one is the kind one, is the loving one. And this is the one I recommend in most cases, because otherwise, this is another turbulence that appears. Sometimes we get so connected to our trauma. Sometimes we get so connected to the harm we have done to ourselves or to others, and we start punching ourselves, metaphorically speaking, right? And we become so guilty, my friends, and we just slap ourselves and punch ourselves, and we are so intense with ourselves every day, and it's not loving, my friend. Actually, we're creating so much harm to ourselves, and I don't believe this is the way. Okay, I do believe we need to be firm sometimes with ourselves and with others, but not destructive, not harsh. This is the word, not harsh, not aggressive, not violent. We are living already in a harsh and violent and aggressive world. You observe it all around you, right? So I believe when we go to these turbulences, we need to be kind with ourselves and kind with the ones around. Now, obviously, there are also, this is the other extreme in going to samurai mode. And this might be efficient for a while, but it can be very harmful for yourself and for the ones around. What do I mean going to samurai mode? Right? Everything I don't like, I cut. I cut relationships, I cut instantly businesses, projects, everything. And it can create a lot of harm to you on the long term. So I am, let's say, I'm with a balanced philosophy, right? So there are moments when you feel some things don't resonate with you. By the way, these changes sometimes are so fast, you become so conscious of what's happening around you that it's good to be connected with someone that has went through a process like this. That's why, for example, when you go to martial arts, you go to a trainer that has the black belt. When you want to, I don't know, lose weight, you go to a nutritionist or go to a gym. Or when you are sick, where do you go? You go to a doctor, right? So It's beautiful when you have someone guiding you to this spiritual process, or you can do it by yourself also. If you spend enough time with yourself and if you are connected to the source, you don't need anyone. God is the best trainer and coach and therapist, right? But if you are not at that level of connection yet, it's wonderful to be around human beings that are in this process. So that's why, we also have the anonymous alcoholics around the world and other groups like this, because when you are in groups like this, you are with people that understand you. You are with people that speak your language. You are with people that don't judge you. You are with people that are going to similar experiences, right? And that's what gives you faith. It gives you strength. It gives you courage in the moments where you are down and you don't know which path to take. So coming back to what I was telling you earlier, my friends, we need to expect sometimes there can be turbulences. And when these turbulences appear, it's so important not to quit. Just imagine an airplane having a turbulence, and the commander says, "Okay, guys, we have a turbulence. I won't fly the plane anymore. Bye bye. Take the parachute and jump." Right? So that's not what a commander of a plane does. He says, "Okay, we have a turbulence. Don't worry, we are getting home." Right? So it's important in this spiritual process, right, to understand that even if we are going to turbulences, and sometimes they can be easy, sometimes they can be more intense, the only way through is true. That's what a good friend of mine and mentor was saying. Dear Wayne, some of you know him because I saw some common faces. He was saying, like, the only way through is true. And this is happening in spirituality also, my friends. The only way through turbulences is going through turbulences. But then after the turbulences, what appears, my friends? When we go through a storm, if we're in an airplane, and maybe you went through an experience like this, sometimes when you go through the clouds, it's so intense, like those turbulence, like, I mean, the whole airplane is shaking. You feel like everything will break. But then when the airplane goes beyond the clouds and the sun appears, my friends, oh my God. Oh, if you ever felt like this, it's so beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful images you can have. It's like the storm was never there, right? And you can see the sun and you can see the sunshine. And I guess life is about this, my friends. No matter how bad is the storm, sunshine will always come. But we need to have the strength, the courage, the guidance, the steps, the preparement sometimes, or at least the determination to go through these turbulences when they appear. Now, another important thing is to understand that we're a product, as a human being, we're a product of all our life scenarios. Everything you went through since you were a child until today made you who you are today, like it made me who I am today. All of us, right? So some of the scenarios were empowering, right? They transformed us in a beautiful way. But many of them, my friends, were and are still very destructive for us as a human being. And they're affecting us in all aspects of our lives, in the relationship with ourselves, in the relationship with God, in the relationship with our spouse, in the relationship with friends, families, in the relationship with money, in the relationship with our health, and everything regarding our human existence. So what is their form? What is the language I'm trying to say? The form they take is the form of negative beliefs, first of all. A negative belief is like a virus that you got from family, friends, social media, and so on and so forth. But like a virus, is just destroying your operating system. Then there are all kinds of blockages, my friends. And they can be emotional blockages, spiritual blockages, financial blockages, health blockages, right? I'm seeing this all day long through our work, right? And we need to realize, like, what is blocking me at this stage, right? Or blockage, you have a blockage in a project or in a relationship. So that's why this inner work is so beautiful. It's intense sometimes, but it's so beautiful because you get to the root of everything that is happening in your life. Then fear, my friends. Fear is one of the most destructive things in our life experience. And fear is, again, it's like a poison that is happening in your mind and in your soul, is blocking you for all these beautiful things. And I have a dear friend of mine, he's here in Germany, and we had such a beautiful experience the last 2 weeks. I'm a fan of roller coasters. And wherever I'm going, I went to all these roller coasters around the world, in the USA, in Europe. And why am I doing that? I started doing that early in my 20s because I was afraid of heights. Long story short, I was blocked in some old apartments at the third level. I looked down, and that's when fear appeared, the fear of heights. Maybe some of you had it and you know what I'm talking about. And it was not just a fear. I was terrified, like literally. Until my early 20s, when I was looking for the first floor down, I was getting literally sick. So I said, I don't want to live with this. I was understanding what we're talking about now. So I did so many things. I jumped with a parachute. I did many things. But one of them was going through all these big roller coasters all around the world. So that roller coaster for me was like therapy, right? If you do it consciously. By the way, this is the beautiful part of spiritual awakening, because everything you do it from a spiritual perspective. So for me, it worked, and I did it for over 10 years. Now, the good story, the beautiful story I was telling you was with my friend that had the same fear. So 2 weeks ago, we went to a roller coaster. It's called Europa Park here in Germany. It's close to the border with Switzerland. And there was we went like that second roller coaster we went to was the biggest one there. It was something like, I don't know, 50, 70 meters high and going like this. If you ever went to a park, you know what I'm talking about. And he was so afraid of heights. And I was telling him the same thing. And I was so proud of him of having the faith and courage to go to this process. And I told him, like, look, this, my friend, is your spiritual therapy. This is the liberation from all these fears you are going through. So I'm glad that he trusted, and we went to this roller coaster, and we were, the roller coaster is climbing, 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 and we were just in the point where it's going down, right? And I told him, like, just breathe and have faith. Have faith, my friend. And then he closed his eyes. The roller coaster started going like this with, I don't know, 130, 40 kilometers an hour. It's intense. The state is very intense. But I watched some of the most beautiful sceneries you can get in a park. Because at the beginning, he was so afraid that he couldn't breathe. And then he started screaming and shouting with his eyes open. And he was so happy. And he told me after that, like, my brother, I felt liberation. I felt liberation from a fear that I had for tens of years, like literally. And it's so beautiful, my friends, when humans liberate from the fears they have been carrying for tens of years, for a lifetime, because they are like a disease. They're like a poison in the human mind, in the human consciousness, just stopping us from reaching our full potential and living life as we wanted to live. So this is my work. This is what I do with through all our events, everything we do, just helping people, supporting people. First of all, becoming conscious of all these beliefs and blockages and fears, but then truly liberating them. I'm not taking you to a roller coaster, by the way. This was just it happened that way. But just managing to liberate yourself from everything that is poisonous and destructive from you. And last but not least is our traumas, my friends. And this is something we need to be conscious of. We all went through difficult scenarios in this lifetime. And for some of us, they were easier. For some of us, they were really intense. I had in events, I had the girl from South Africa, such a beautiful soul. She's such a dear soul to my heart. And imagine she was raped when she was 6 years old from someone from her family. Raped, my friends, as a child. Then she was kidnapped and raped in group by her best friends, like 4 or 5 men, for days and days and days. So you can imagine the kind of trauma you are going through, my friends. And then all these things, for some of us, they are easier. For some of us, they are very intense. What do we do with all these experiences? Because they are thoughts and emotions. We spoke about them earlier. And all these emotions have been so painful that what we do unconsciously is that we create a great wall of China around us, around our consciousness, around our hearts, to protect ourselves. And that's when we become like robots, my friends, because we closed. We close spiritually, we close emotionally, we close our hearts because we are carrying so much pain and so much suffering around us that we cannot be ourselves anymore. And the modern society is teaching us two things: either hid them under the carpet or under the bed, right? So we pretend they're not there anymore, or we become successful. This is the other part I was telling you about success. That's why a lot of people, they become financially successful, they have a successful career, successful whatever project, business, and so on and so forth. But many times, actually, it's a lot of suffering and trauma that we are trying, right, to solve through becoming successful. And that's why so many people that are financially successful, they don't have that inner peace, that inner love, that inner fulfillment that they're looking about. Because the key, my friends, is actually to heal the soul. And it takes humbleness. and consciousness and presence, everything we talked about tonight, to realize, you know what? I was hurt. I was really hurt. And some of that suffering, some of that pain, I'm still carrying consciously, unconsciously, but I feel it deep inside, my friends. Because all these negative emotions, right? Pain, suffering, disappointment, resentment, sometimes I don't even want hate about about other people, right? All these things, they are so destructive. Again, they're like a poison inside of us, and that's a sign of being unhealed. The difference is that, for example, when the body has a wound, you realize that it's there because it's bleeding, right? It's impossible not to see it. But the spirit doesn't bleed physically, it bleeds emotionally. And the mind is taking over, trying to cover that suffering and creating all kinds of defense mechanisms or addictions. By the way, you remember we were talking earlier about smoking, drugs, alcohol, compulsive sex, and so on and so forth, right? What we are doing, we are trying to run away from all that suffering and all that pain. It's like an anesthesia that we're doing to ourselves, but it doesn't work. It just works short term, not feeling that pain anymore. But that's not true healing, my friends. And this is the beauty of spiritual awakening. And this is the beauty, although it's sometimes intense, of healing yourself. Because otherwise, all around you will be triggers. Triggers in your relationship, triggers with your husband, triggers with your wife. What do I mean by trigger? Everything that is being done around you triggers an emotion, a negative emotion. It can be sadness, it can be fear, it can be disappointment, it can be guilt, it can be depression, it can be, I don't know, suffering, right? Resentments, hate, right? Those are the triggers. And the soul is actually talking to you like, my friend, you need healing, right? But the beautiful part of it is that once we give that energy and attention to heal ourselves, it's beautiful, my friends. That's when we become again ourselves. That's when we're awakening this us, this new you that we're actually deep inside. And it's one of the most beautiful scenes I have seen in my life. Someone healing himself or healing herself and becoming complete once again. And not just healing herself or himself or herself, but healing sometimes generational trauma that was carried from one generation to another, my friends. You have to understand that our families, right, our parents, grandparents, and so on and so forth, they live such harsh times in the countries they live, my friends. And most of them, not all of them, but most of them didn't know about love, didn't know how to raise children, didn't know how to, create the environment for a human being to grow in love. And we're not here to judge our parents or our grandparents. We're not here to create more harm that was done already. But we are here, I do believe we have a responsibility as a generation to heal ourselves. And through healing ourselves, to heal the world, to heal transgenerational trauma that was passed from one uh, generation to another. Also, what is beautiful in this process is that you gain clarity. I'm sure that many of you had decisions that you have to take in your life. Maybe you still have them now. And you're asking yourself, is this the right way or is this the wrong way? Is this taking me on the right path or the wrong path? And I will tell you something from experience and from the experience of so many people and friends around me. When you take decision just with your mind, and you are influenced by society, you are influenced from the ones around, you will be harming yourself a lot on the long term, right? The best decisions that you can take are the decisions that are aligned to your soul, my friend. And this is where intuition, we keep hearing about intuition. Intuition is not something metaphysical, I don't know, metaphorical or mystical or religious. No, my friends, it's a gift we have deep inside. Intuition is a channel, is the connection with our soul, just like breathing is a connection with our body, right? So going in the spiritual journey is opening again your intuition where you just feel things. And the key is not to go just on the intuition and to stop the rational mind. I'm talking here for the people that are more, rational oriented. This is another balance I'm talking about. Not taking the decisions just from your heart, but not taking decisions just from your mind. Connecting to the soul and balancing the mind with the heart. This is the mastery we all have to go through in this lifetime. So when we are connected to our soul, the soul is telling you, like, look, this is the right path. And rationally, the mind can give you all these scenarios and all these explainings and so on and so forth. Like, for example, I'm sure you met someone that wanted to, I don't know, do a collaboration with you, or starting a business or whatever, do something for you, have us, provide a service for you or a product. And rationally, he was saying things right, things that made sense. But you had the feeling that something was not right about that person. You had a feeling something is not right here. That's your intuition speaking to you, my friend. And that's why it's important to align to our souls and let our souls show us in which aspects of our lives are we aligned, in which ones we are misaligned. And this way, we can create that balance, create that harmony in all aspects of existence, with our health, with our relationship, with financial finances, with God, and so on and so forth. And this is the beautiful part of awakening. And last but not least, I would say that this journey is going to change you in a beautiful way. And I know that this can be very scary. And actually, fear, I guess, after all these years working with people, I guess fear is the number one thing stopping people from going into the spiritual journey, because they're afraid they will change. They're afraid they will become someone else. And it's important to observe this fear, what's really all about, my friends, because on the one hand, we're not happy, we're not fulfilled, sometimes we're in pain, or we're just lost in jobs, businesses, careers, relationships, lost on this planet, lost in our relationship with ourselves, with nature, with God. And it's obvious that something needs to change, right? It's obvious. I mean, Professor Albert Einstein was saying the definition of madness is to do the same things every day and to expect different results, right? So it's obvious that if you got to a point in your life where things are not working the way you want them to work, mentally, emotionally, financially, relationship wise, spiritual wise, it's obvious that we need to change something. Because otherwise, if we do things the same way we have done them until today, we'll have the same results. I mean, it's obvious. And as obvious as it is, it's so interesting, my friends, what's happening in the human consciousness, that we are afraid to change. And this is maybe one of the number one things stopping people from reaching their potential, stopping people from healing, stopping people from living the lives they want, stopping people from, bringing that love and peace and beauty in relationships, stopping people from starting a project, a business, or whatever they want to do, a therapist career, or whatever. We all have something inside our soul that is, talking to us like, this is your path, is the fear of change. So here again is the same thing. The only way through fear is through fear. We have a gift from God, and it's the gift of free will. No matter what I'm saying, no matter if all the universe is talking to you, no matter if we get so many messages from podcasts and books and therapists, and we are fortunate as a generation, my friends, to have access to information, which for hundreds, thousands of years, people before us didn't have access to the information, or a very limited number of people had access to the universal laws. In our generation, we are fortunate that we have practices, we have environments, we have people that can help us becoming ourselves once again. But we have to be willing, although we are in fear. I'm not saying not being fearful, because you cannot press a button and say, okay, I'm not fearful now. It's about what I was telling you with about my friend in the roller coaster. Is about acting in the presence of fear, going to a new path, going to something that can change us for the better. My friend, when he entered that roller coaster, was afraid, my friends, was deeply afraid. You can feel that in the eyes, in the breath, in everything, right? But he went in the roller coaster, although he was afraid. And when we got there, he was like laughing and joyful. And he was like, after we finished with the part that it was like, I feel so powerful. I feel so much trust, because he changed. Although he was afraid to change, in his case, releasing a fear, he changed, but he changed for the better, my friends. And this is magical. This is beautiful. This is the power of the human spirit. That's why I'm so driven and I'm so passionate. This is my life's work. It was forever, but especially in the last 5, 6 years, I'm putting all my heart and my soul into this work because it's the most beautiful thing I have ever seen in my life. People awakening, becoming that beautiful version of themselves, healing once again and becoming themselves and being again loving and faithful and full of courage and alive once again. It's so beautiful, my friend. And it's something I think we have a responsibility of doing, all of us as a generation. And I guess I told you about authentic spirituality. It brings you to those fruits I was telling you about, love and joy and faith and patience and everything we talked about. But it's taking you, authentic spirituality is also taking you to a place of purification. And again, I'm not talking about religion here. I'm talking about your soul. I'm talking about your mind. I'm talking about your health. I'm talking about everything, my friends. When you think about purifying, right? What do you think, just when you think about purifying the body? It's just, taking care of some of the toxins that are, entering our bodies from food, from drinks, from everything is going on. And the body needs that. It's obvious, right? But in the same time, the soul needs to purify and needs to purify from all the things that has, I would say, leached upon him or her and made us something we're not anymore, my friends. We're not sadness. We're not resentments. We're not hate. We're not aggressiveness. We're not violence and everything happening in the world. We're not selfishness. We're not pain. We're not suffering, my friends. I don't believe we're created like that. I do believe we are love. I do believe we are kind. I do believe we are joy. I do believe we are faith. I do believe we are, uh, you know, just uh, examples of truly being children of God as He created us. And I do believe we have a responsibility as a generation, as I told, to heal this world of all the traumas carried, of all the suffering, all the hate, all the violence, all the aggressiveness. And I guess this is the road home. This is the road to fulfillment. This is the road to the life we're all looking for, right? It's the road to happiness. It's the road to waking up in the morning and just being uh, loved and guided and being loved, you being loved for the others around you, being a blessing for the ones around you. I do believe love is about giving and not taking all the time. It's the path of releasing from selfishness and just becoming loving and generous with each other and just live life joyfully, as I believe we were created to live our lives, my friends. So I tried in this, I don't know how much time we spent together. Thank you for being here. I tried in this um, last tens of minutes to share about the things I realized, first of all, from my own experience all these years. As I told you, I had many, many years of just putting all my focus into spirituality. Now I'm in a stage of my life of balancing, as I told you, these two worlds also for myself. I'm still an entrepreneur. I'm still doing a lot of things, but all my work right now, it's supporting souls in this spiritual awakening process. And it's something, first of all, is something that started, first of all, with me. I took myself to all these processes, obviously, for years and years. But then in the pandemic, when things got so crazy, I had anyway, I was a leader in a business. We were very successful until then, as I told you. And the project I was developing went into bankruptcy. And at the moment, it felt like the world is collapsing, not for me, I mean, all around the world. You remember those things. But in the same time, for years and years, I had a calling that I have another mission on this planet. And when, the pandemic came and people were locked down in their houses and not being able to go out, and people were going to so much suffering and depression, and so many people killed themselves in that period. You remember it was a very intense period. I had such a profound calling, like, Razvan, you need to go there in the world and share all these practices and everything you learned with your brothers and sisters. And that's when Awaken a New You started. So Awaken a New You, it's a program. It's a retreat. We're organizing a few times a year. And it's actually an environment where you can go for 4 days in all these processes that I've been telling you about in a conscious way, in a supported way, in a guided way, in a beautiful way, in an environment with other people that are like you in this journey, so you can reach those profound places in your being, my friend, that are waiting for your attention for years or tens of years for some of you. Okay. So we'll have an event like this very soon. Actually, it will be next month, between the 1st and the 4th of August. It will be in Romania, in Transylvania, more exactly. I'm sure you heard from Dracula, but don't worry, they're not vampires there. We'll actually go to a beautiful place in the mountains of Romania in a beautiful retreat. We'll eat healthy food. We'll also go to the castle, is the Bran castle there. So it will be also wonderful, wonderful vacation you can have in Romania. Or you can join us online if you want to go through our live streaming technology, although I recommend you to come live here. You have 1 month to plan it. And what is this journey all about? It's 4 days in which you can go in the deepest journey you ever had with yourself. Even if you had some practices, and I honor you and I respect you, and I'm sure some of you went through some other spiritual practices, and I'm thanking you for that. In the same time, I know that your consciousness already knows the answers. So when it finds the right environment with the right guidance, with the right energy, it can go to those deep places, deepest places, actually, that need healing, they need transformation, they need liberation. And I've seen this in all this year. We had tens of awakening new events, and it's so beautiful what I'm seeing people going through in this event. So what will happen to you there? First of all, we'll go through a healing process, right? And the first day is, let's say, um, dedicated to our healing, being conscious of our traumas, being conscious of what happened there, liberating them, forgiving ourselves, forgiving others, right? Just liberating all those thoughts and emotions that are just like poison inside of us, right? And I know it's big statements, and I know I'm giving these statements because I saw them hundreds of times, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful from therapy or say traditional therapy. I respect that, and I believe it's wonderful and beautiful. But in the same time, I know 100, 1000% that you can compress years and years and years of therapy into one night. Why? Because the consciousness, I told you, already knows the answers. So in therapy, you go to all this process day by day, or years and weeks, right into doing basically the same thing, becoming conscious of the cause of what happened to you, liberating those emotions, rewriting patterns, realizing what truly happened to you, and just becoming whole once again, becoming free, becoming liberated of that trauma. But the process is so beautiful and so intense, but not intense in the way that you cannot do it, right? Intense in the way that you can put all your focus into your consciousness, going there deep in that scenario to some techniques we're using, so you can truly go as into a stage where you can see yourself when you were 1 year old, 3 years old, whatever, 20 years old, when you're a child, a teenager, an adult, and you can see what truly happened there. What is the cause of what happened there? How did you change because of that scenario? And liberate, as I told you, that scenario, liberate these emotions, liberate the suffering, liberate the pain, is one of the most beautiful things that can happen to us as human beings, my friends. And then becoming whole again by rewriting who you really are, or let's say who you really were before that trauma, but now from a wiser state. Okay. Then we'll also go to a stage where we can realign and learning to realign with the higher states of consciousness that I was telling you earlier, right? Coming back to gratefulness, coming back to love, and just liberating everything that is stopping us, because there are chains sometimes, chains, right? Chains that are stopping us from living in these states. Then we have half a day where we'll focus on truly liberating ourselves and becoming conscious of all the fears, all the blockages, all the, let's say, negative beliefs that we have been carrying around us, all the, as I told you about, all these things, behaviors that are destructive, like alcohol or drugs or anything, right? Cigarettes. It's a very deep, profound process at a fire camp where I've seen so many hundreds of people liberating from the most difficult, let's say, things they were carrying for years or tens of years. Then we go through a stage, and it's a beautiful process where we learn to awaken our energy centers, right? And we are spiritual beings, we are physical beings, we are mental beings, but we're also energy beings, my friends. We have some energy centers that are called chakras in many other cultures. And it's important to realize how they function, how they work, liberate them, and again, managing to liberate all that energy that is actually waiting inside of us to be liberating, opening ourselves to our fullest potential. And one of my favorite processes that we're going through is a process of reconnecting with the divine. And when I say divine, when I say God, I say creator, it's something so sensitive because it comes with a religious perspective. And I'm not trying to recruit you into a sect or anything. We don't have a religious background into what we do, right? It's a process of getting to that connection with the divine inside of us, my friends. And we were created like that. We just detach ourselves from that. And that's it's a blessing I cannot even put in words. Remember, I was telling you about the lady earlier when we started the call that came. She really wanted to take her life that weekend. You know, that's so intense, right? She decided to kill herself. And in this process I'm telling you about of reconnecting with God, she was literally like shaking for tens of minutes and in tears. And she managed to realize what happened to her, what took her to that place, right? She lost a child, and obviously it was painful. She was going through all these traumas, and then she realized that that's not the path. That life is a gift, and she has so many beautiful things to do. She got hope once again, and by reconnecting to the divine, reconnecting to God, she started becoming a healer herself. And right now, she's doing her own events and retreats and spiritual work. And it's so beautiful, my friends, to see the presence of God and the presence of the divine inside of us when we allow Him to work inside of us. And actually, and the last day, and this is actually the whole journey, is about learning to live again in the consciousness of love. And I do believe we are love. And I do believe the path to liberating this world is the path to love. That's why Jesus said, He gave it as the biggest commandment, love God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and love thy neighbor as you love yourself. And again, we don't need to go into religion right now, but obviously, love is the path. That's why all these spiritual masters in all cultures and religions all around the world were trying to teach us love. But the whole concept of awakening you is not to understand something just at the mental level, at the rational level, because otherwise no one will be smoking, right? All people understand it's not right to smoke, it's harmful for the body, but they don't quit smoking, right? We need to reconnect with the spirit. We need to reconnect with those higher states. We need to see things, understand things, and especially feel things at their highest level. It doesn't matter if it's something harmful or it's something productive, beautiful, blissful, in order to produce that massive transformation that we all want to produce inside of us. So this is what awakening you is that environment, my friends. Now, as I told you, you have two options. One of them is to join us to our live streaming technology. We have modern technology with sound and equipments and cameras, and it will be like you'll be there with us. So this is an option. But I would recommend this option only if you cannot come physically in Romania. Okay, if 1st to 4th of August you cannot come, okay, join us through the live streaming technology. What I do recommend you with all my heart is join us physically if you can. First of all, it will be a beautiful vacation. It will be a 4 days, 5 days, whatever. You can extend it if you want. Holiday in one of the most beautiful places of Europe. I told you we'll be going to a castle there. It's wonderful, beautiful in a mountainside of Romania in Transylvania. I mean, only if you would come for that, it will be worth your time. But more than that, it will be about you disconnecting from the outer world, technology projects, businesses, even family. Obviously, you can take your family if you want to bring them, but just be with yourself for 4 days. And through this process, will be really liberating all those parts of you that are not you and just awakening the new you, my friend. That's why it's called awakening you, because you will truly find yourself. You don't do something. This is not a seminar, by the way, right? This is not me telling you things like I'm doing right now. It will be a 4 days process of you getting in connection with yourself, you getting the messages from yourself, you healing, you liberating, you becoming you, right? Not from what I'm saying or someone in a podcast or in a book is telling you to be. No, my friend, you being you once again, you awakening you that was really there all the time. We are just managed to uncover it, if I can say like that, make it be alive, make it be reborn once again. So I told you I have a surprise for you. The first surprise, you have multiple surprises. If you want to join us, we'll have this probably only one time this year, as I told you, next month in August. We're not doing it all the time. This one will be exclusively in English. Okay, we are also doing, because I was born in Romania, we are sometimes doing it in Romanian language, but it's not for you. Most of you are here from other countries, so I would recommend coming to this one in August. Okay, 1st to 4th of August. You'll have also a 50 euro voucher because you came to this event online, and I thank you for that. I'm grateful. This is a gift for you. You'll just need to talk to one of my colleagues. I will tell you immediately how to get in contact with them, and you'll say I was in the webinar, Razvan gave us a gift, and you'll have this discount. Also, if maybe you all have some financial situations right now, you have the possibility to pay in installments. Okay, so just feel free, talk to my colleagues, and they will help you find a way that is best for you. Now, how do you do that? If you want to join us, I won't go right now into everything how it works, because I don't want to take more of your time and I want to be respectful for everyone. My colleague will post right now a form in the chat. You'll get it in a few seconds. You just need to go through that form. You'll put your number, your email, and one of my colleagues, the next 1, 2, 3 days maximum, they will contact you. You'll have a phone call. You'll tell them what you are going through. They will tell you exactly what we do. Maybe we have some other programs that will be suitable for you. And they will give you all the details that you need in order to join us for our event. To be honest, with all my heart, I would love you to be there. I know that it will produce the transformation that you will be uh, that you were looking for actually for years. And right now, this is why also I don't want to go into prices and the details. I'm not selling you anything, okay? I'm just telling you because I'm doing this for 5 years. I saw so many hundreds of stories, like as I told you, from people, girls that were raped when they were children, to people wanting to take their lives, from people that have financial blockages and they managed to be financially free, to people that came literally, they wanted to divorce each other. Right? And in that event, they realize how much they love each other and have a beautiful, wonderful, loving relationship. I saw people coming there with, diseases, all kinds of affections in the body. They managed to heal it in those 4 days. And it's not because of me, right? It's because of the process. And it's not because of the awaken a new process. Awaken is an environment. It's because of the gifts, or let's say the settings in which God created us with. If we know how to access the tools of healing of our consciousness, of our soul, of our bodies, my friends, it happens naturally. But we do need to learn how to do it, just like we learn, how to speak a language, how to eat, how to dress, and so on and so forth. And I'm guaranteeing you, there is no one in these years that ever came and was disappointed by what happened there. I can even guarantee with the money back. Okay, so I just hope that after these tens of minutes that we spent together, you got some information, you got some faith, you got some hope, you got some things that touched your heart first of all, but also your mind, right? And something that became more clear for you. I do hope with all my heart that you'll practice these things and start doing it, even if you do it by yourself. But if you want to accelerate this process, if you feel you're in a stage right now where you want to produce now this transformation, not in the next 5 months or 5 years, I do hope with all my heart you'll find a way and you'll join us. We can meet each other in person or online if you cannot join us physically, but I'm sure it will be the beginning of a new chapter of your life. So I will end with this and then we go to the Q&A. Go on this form. My colleague posted it already in the chat box. You just need to put some details. You just copy the link so you make sure you have it. Okay. And then there are some questions also there because we want to know you better, right? Know to some of the things that you're going through. My colleagues are, if you resonated with me, my colleagues are right like me, right? They're beautiful souls. They're just working with so many hundreds and thousands of people. And just these questions are meant for us to know you better, to know what you are going through so we know how we can serve you better. Okay. So I would love you can be as open as you can. You don't need to create like a book right there. You don't need to put tens of pages, but just right there you see in the form some of the things you are going through so we know how we can help you. Okay. And then they will contact you, as I said, in the next couple of days, and you can have a discussion with them, and we hope we can see you live with us soon. Now, I also promised you we'll have a Q&A session. I will stop right now also the share screen. So whatever touched you from this call, If you have something that you want to go deeper into, right? You have some questions regarding what we talk or some other topics, feel free to ask them. Let's have a few questions, some topics here. You can either write them in a chat box. I will try to check there, or you can just open your microphone. We're in the family here. We're like friends. Open your microphone or your cameras and just share them live with all the people. So please feel free to do so. Meanwhile, copy the link, okay, of the form. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. Many people are truly happy even if they have a lot of money. Yes, Natalie, indeed. By the way, thank you to all my friends that are here. Thank you to all the ones of you who invited some friends here. I am grateful and honored, and I hope I delivered something that can touch human lives for the better. So if you have something specific that you want to talk, please feel free. We're in a family here. We see we're an intimate group. Actually, your question might impact other people also. So please, whatever is there, have the courage, feel free and ask something that you have in your mind and your soul. Open your mic or go in the chat box and write it there. No questions? We finished earlier? Come on. You are safe, okay? You can write in other language. I know maybe some of you are from Romania. If you want to ask it in Romanian, I will have to answer in English.
I have a question actually.
Okay. Hi, Luminica. Good evening.
Yes, hi, and nice to meet you and everybody else from here tonight. I was questioning many times if this spiritual awakening happens once or many times. Because I had two phases since 2021, and once was then, and the second, it was like last year.
Well, it's a beautiful question. Thank you for asking it. I would say that spiritual awakening is a process since the moment it starts, but it has different phases. You know, for example, in school, you go to kindergarten and you go to primary school, elementary school, high school, university, and so on and so forth, right? So from what I feel, from what you asked, you started your spiritual journey then, your spiritual awakening journey into 2021.
Yes, exactly.
But now you went to a different phase with a different scenario.
It was a different scenario and was much more deeper, and it was like much more anxiety, to say so.
Yes, yes,
I mean, a
indeed.
tough process.
Yes. Now, what we have to understand, Luminica, is that usually regarding anxiety and all these states we're going through, because we are human beings, there is nothing wrong with you, okay? This is what we go through. And when the spiritual awakening process starts, it's usually, it has two effects on, let's say, anxiety, for example. One of them, it's the anxiety starts because of all these feelings and awareness and all these revelations that we have,
Yes.
right? And it's a fear of losing control because we almost believe like, come on, I'm getting crazy. I need to go to a psychiatrist, see what's going on, right? Because it's so beyond what we're used to, right? And we are losing control. It feels like a ship that is shaking around us, right? Left and right. And in the same time, actually what spiritual awakening is doing is taking to surface all the anxiety that we already had deep inside, but it was hidden by mental programs, so it can be finally liberated, right? So there are two things happening usually during anxiety, right? But there is nothing wrong with you. It's important to realize it's part of the process. Obviously, went through some scenarios, and that's why anxiety became so much more intense. But the true thing is to get into why these scenarios happened. That's the key to liberation, right? What is the cause of them? What do you have to learn spiritual? I believe in every scenario we're going through, Luminica, it's a spiritual lesson. And the ultimate healing is when we go through the cause and realize the lesson behind it, right? Because if the lesson is not learned, scenarios will repeat in different forms. It makes sense what I'm saying,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
They will repeat in different forms because the lesson was not learned, was not integrated. So that's why we have different scenarios, different acts like a theater, but it's the same lesson, right? So that's why we have to go deep in the cause, like what is this scenario really teaching me? What do I have to learn from it? What is my soul trying to tell me? Why did I really got through this? But not, we have a tendency as human beings to ask this question, why is this happening to me? But we start looking it from a victim perspective. Oh my God, then why is this happening to me? And so on and so forth. So when we become victim, we lose all our creative power and all our ability to heal. We have to ask this question, why is this happening to me? But from a higher perspective, right? Like truly, why is this happening to me? I mean, why is the universe trying to say? Why is God trying to say? What do I have to learn from all of this? And that's when, going through deep processes, we get to the root of what happened. And then you realize that actually is the same lesson, but in different forms, right? I'm sure they are very connected. What happened in 2021 with what happened now, although they're different
Yes.
scenarios.
I don't know if somebody experienced this, but for me it was exactly the way or the feeling of losing the control because you have a super nice life, you have a good job, nice friends, the family, and you start to lose these things from job, from friends. Somebody got sick, and it's very overwhelming, and you don't know what's happening, and you started to question it because you have the tendency to be mental and to be clear to understand the whole process, but you have no you have no mental answer because nothing
Yes.
it's like the real answer, and then you start to question
Yes.
again and again, and it's really
Yes.
overwhelming.
Yeah. And this is actually, thank you for saying it, Lumenisa, because this is the center of everything I talk tonight. The mind cannot answer this question. Only the consciousness, the soul can answer these questions. That's why we need to connect with our souls. We need to go to this deep connection, this deep process, when our consciousness just takes to the surface what really happened there. What do we have to learn from these scenarios? What's right? What's the lesson behind everything that happened? And that's when we can truly heal and liberate them. And it's not the same answer for all the scenarios, because you mentioned the job and relationships and someone getting seen. By the way, I'm so sorry you went through all this. But at the same time, I feel you are a warrior. You're not easily broken or taken down. And uh, all these scenarios have sometimes different answers. I mean, not everything happened for the same reason. That doesn't mean that why someone got sick is the same reason from why you lost your job, or things changed there, right? That's why we need to really understand deepness, everything that happened in all aspects of our being. But that's also beautiful because once you go through this turbulence, you'll become you once again.
Yes, and I think um the most beautiful feeling over all these things is that one day you will receive this gratitude and you actually get to that point to be thankful for everything what happened, because you start
Yes.
to realize it was a process of maybe evolution or whatever it is, and everything is changing in that
Yes.
point.
Yes, that's one of the ultimate changes, the ultimate states, let's say, when you see the blessing behind all that happen. But it's not just a mental thing, you feel the blessing.
Yes, but the process is really, as I said, very scary, very tough with
Yes,
everything.
yes. Thank you. And thank you for going through it because it's the only way to become you. It's like it's so beautiful how the butterflies become butterflies. You all know that they're like worms before. And they go to this process of really breaking their bodies and become butterflies. It's like a metamorphosis that is happening. You saw, I'm sure, from pictures or biology, right? So in a way, this is what spiritual awakening is all about. And although right now it's a bit scary and it's anxiety and it's a bit painful, right? But actually, you are becoming a butterfly, Luminitsa. You are flying once again. And
I was just asking this because I know some people are experience the spiritual awakening in different ways. I
mhm,
also have friends and we talk about this, and she's also very spiritual, and she started from a point of gratitude. She was super happy, and from that point she started to feel this spiritual awakening, and it was nothing like anxiety or fears. It was completely different. And I was asking, are there different situations, or people are experiencing different
Yeah.
situation in this spiritual awakening, or what's
Yes.
actually the situation?
Yeah, it's exactly what you said. And you remember I started this at the beginning. I said
Yeah.
my story was similar, let's say, to your friend's story. You know, I was financially successful and I had, from the outside, I had the perfect world, right? So it didn't come through a suffering. It came from a place of having all these things and realized there must be something more to life. But what I saw is that for most people, spiritual awakening starts with turbulence, starts like you know, with the scenario where the world is being shaped. And, you know, we're different human beings, Luminica. You know, we all have our scenarios and obviously we go to different processes, but in the same time, the destination is the same. So there is
Mhm.
nothing wrong with you. Your friend has her story, you have your story. I'm sure that like all the people that are here will have different stories, you know? So we don't need to compare ourselves with other people. Understand it's a process and just honor the process as it came, but go through it and liberating and healing and becoming that best version of ourselves that we truly are deep inside. So I'm hopeful for you. I trust in you, and I'm sure that
Yes, thank
in
you.
a few
Yes,
months,
and the
years from
process
now,
is
you'll.
still going, but it feels much better, and you realize many things that are really important, not what we think that are important to us,
Mhm,
like super much money, like I don't know. I had a really life of fulfillment, and suddenly I was changing like 100% the perspective, like
mhm,
questioning, is this exactly what made me happy? Is this the
mhm,
happiness for me? And then
mhm.
start the whole process to change
Yes,
things, and even to move, because I was living in Germany and then I moved to Romania and everything was different.
yes. Well, I honor you for having the courage of, you
Thank
know,
you.
taking these decisions and going through all these changes. And I'm sure that you'll find a way to get to the source of everything. Because as I said earlier, when you go to the source and you realize what are all these scenarios telling you about, you'll get home. You'll feel better and you'll find what you're, because obviously some things changed, right? But that means your soul has a plan for you. This is the beautiful part. You know, there is a beautiful picture with a baby girl, a young girl that has a teddy bear, and the teddy bear is so small and she's just holding that teddy bear. I don't want to leave it, you know, it's my teddy bear. But then there is God with a huge teddy bear behind his back, right? And God is like, just release, let go of that teddy bear. I have something so much bigger and better for you. But this is how we're like human beings. No, because it's my teddy bear, you know, my job, my business, my relationship, and you know, and we're afraid of losing control. But I'm sure that God has a plan for you, and will in the next couple of months and years you'll tell me about the blessings of why all this happened.
Yes,
Thank you. And I hope if you
thank you
feel free,
also.
if you feel, I hope you'll join us and we'll do this together.
Can I ask you something, Razvan? Do you have a
Yes,
plan for
please.
the next events? I unfortunately cannot attend on the 1st of August because I already have like something before end of July, and I cannot take free in that period of time. Are there
Yeah.
further if events or retreats or
Yes, you're a bit black here because you're Romanian, right?
yes?
Yes, we'll have another Romanian event.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so write your copy the link with the
Okay.
form. Yeah, right there, your phone number. And Diana and Ramona, you met them here. They're my dear friends and
Okay.
colleagues, and one of them will contact you and they will give you more details
Thank
about the
you.
ones in Romanian. You have again the link here. For the ones of you that are outside Romania, this is the only option probably this year. We'll have only this event in August probably, and we'll hope you'll join us for this one.
Oh, wow. It's working out.
Finally, celebration.
I really, I really had to completely lock my computer because I could have access to everything on my computer, but nothing on Zoom. The Zoom was frozen, no chat, nothing. I just have to switch on. I'm back. I need my voice.
Hello, my friend. Good to see you after all these years.
Thank you so much. I'm just gonna give a quick testimony before I go through my question.
Okay.
I just really want to thank you to just stay who you are for all these years and really embrace this gift of yours, because my connection with my true self, my awareness, the way you call, started for me in 2019 when I heard you for the first time on stage in Hungary.
Mhm.
And then sometimes I hated you because I was like, oh my God, now something is happening, but we're gonna guide me on that. So at some point I start hating you for that.
I'm sorry.
Not on the bad way, but so to speak. But at the same time, because I had a lot of trauma back then. Then I connect with my fake self, because as you go through this journey, you understand that you build up a personality that's not you.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes your true self remind you who you are when you get in front of people or something like that. So after that journey in Romania, I went a long way. I keep till today spending a lot of time, resources to really and get myself. I just came back from Los Angeles last week, where I went on another kind of retreat, and I keep organizing retreat myself, thinking by helping us, that's going to give me the courage, as we were saying for Samolia, try to not stop running away from it, because it can be scary. And my own part right now is how to stay on that awakeness, not to play the ups and down roller coaster. That is my case. Because at some point I get there, like I feel like, oh my God, I get it there. But then I keep auto-sabotaging it. And the other side is really bad, because when you go to the auto-sabotage, you attract everything you don't want in your life. Things became very dark, very, very, depressive and stuff like that. And that is just because I'm convinced that it's because I did not have the appropriate how do you going to say that in English? The appropriate guidance to learn how to stay on that stage. By doing myself, sometimes I feel like I open doors that's so scary, and I'm afraid of going deeper and lose it. I don't know if it makes sense. So, but when you started at the beginning of the call, when you were explaining that it's just like waking up in the morning, you start realizing that things are different. Like, oh wow, I just asked for something at night. How did I find this morning? Like you start realizing that your thought materialize, and then and then and then the deep side of you that was oppressed for a very long time start reminding you that who told you you deserve it. You do not deserve that. That's not for you. And then you start panicking. And I'm on the stage of my life today where I'm so tired, and I just need to get it. I spend times and resources. I've been in America 3 times now this year, just to try to, and you get a bit of it, and it's still not that. And then you get a bit of it, and it's still not that. And you feel like, okay. So I'm just thinking that it's not a mistake us being in this call today. Sometimes
you're coming from where it all started.
Exactly. Exactly. So honestly, thank you so much for today. I had a bunch of people that I already put in place, as I was saying, to Romania, but to Romania, but it was for yesterday. So they took a day off. So unfortunately,
I'm so
one
sorry.
day, they couldn't take a
I'm
day
sorry you
off.
had to change it.
Yeah, because we have a different time zone. So at the time it started here, they were still at work. So, but that's fine. I said, not doesn't matter.
Well, we can solve it. I will give all of you guys the recording right?
Thank you. That'll be great.
And Ramona, please let's note it down and send the recording to everyone that register for the event so everyone can have access to it. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
Bob, we're gonna anyway, and then it's a good challenge for me on August, but I'll do everything possible because I need it.
Oh, so beautiful.
I need
Thank
it.
you.
So yeah, thank you
But let
so
me
much.
answer also your question, please. Okay,
Sure.
I'm grateful that you are coming, and I'm sure it will be a memorable reunion, seeing each other again. But I want to answer because what you asked was so profound, you know, because this is what's happening sometimes in the spiritual awakening process. You start touching these states, but then you lose them, and then you touch them, and then you lose them, right? And it's like you have a candy, and then someone takes the candy away from you. Like,
Exactly.
what is this all about, right? So we have to understand, I think there are two causes here, right? The first one is that we need to go to those deep states that we're afraid of, because we managed to liberate some of them that are stopping us from living in those states. And you think about children at the land, you see they're permanently almost in those states. They're mostly happy and joyful, and they don't need any retreat, right? That's their natural state. But for us as adults, sorry for the language, but something screwed us up, right?
Yeah.
From everything that happened to us, right? So when we eliminate in an event like where you were some of the things, we feel better, right? And we touch these states, and that's our natural state actually. But then there are some deeper ones that we didn't manage to touch. Either it was not the right environment, either it was not the right tools, either it was not, we were not ready. It's not about the tools or the environment, but we were not ready yet to go to those deep places. And there is a stage where all these states, they become stable, right? So we have things happening, but you're in a stable state of joy, and you feel good, generally
Yeah.
speaking, right? But the moment you heal the big things, right, those deep things, and that's what all my work is all about, right? By the way, back then I knew how to awaken people, but I didn't know exactly how to. And it was not the environment, it was a business
No,
environment
no,
there,
it
so
wasn't. Yeah.
I was very limited there what I can share and do. And
But you
but
managed to
anyhow,
wake me up.
yes. And I don't believe it's me, to be honest. I don't want to take this credit. I think it's God calling us home,
Yeah.
and he's calling us through a book. He's calling us to some people as messengers of him, or to a nature, or to a bird singing. I think it's God there. Now, in the same time, one thing is going deep in those things that are stopping us from living in these states, right? And that's where we need to have the courage. And we have the courage when we feel safe. Safe as an environment, safe as in, working with someone that we feel the love and the energy that is okay. This human being can hold my space, right? I know I'm safe to go there, and I know I will go back, because sometimes fear is so deep that you are afraid to go there. It's like a black cloud, like a black hole, that you don't want to access that black hole. But actually, in the black hole is the light that is producing the healing. But we need to have the courage to go there, right? And this is one thing. The other thing is about having the right tools, Adelaide. We've done network marketing. You needed some tools to help you, right, to become successful, and you also had some great results, and you're a successful networker. So in spirituality, we also need the right practices and the right tools. It's like a muscle that you train day by day, right? So we need to find the ones that resonate with us, because that's also very important, and then giving time for spirituality every day to maintain these high states, right? And this is actually what we're doing. And I'm really grateful that you are coming, because 4 days is not just working inside there. It's about building these tools that are very natural. So after 4 days, that can be practiced at home.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And I'm super curious of what you've done. And I'm super curious of what will happen to you after everything you've done in in Romania.
I am too, trust me.
I trust you'll get your answers.
I really, honestly, Razvan, I'm really, really, I had last year was for me was a dead year because I had my surgery, and I know I caused that to happen. We play with my emotion. I had a big surgery that could have been avoided if I was on the right mindset. So
Right.
that surgery lie me on my bed for 1 year because I wasn't allowed to put my leg on the floor for 1 year. And even through it was like I was giving up. Like if it wasn't for my two daughters, I was like, I think I took myself into that surgery just to find excuses. I don't know if it makes sense because
Yes, of course.
I realized that I build myself into pitchy patchy, so to speak. Like when I was going into success, into my business of whatever, I feel like I was losing that pitchy patchy, and it's really weird. But that was my mindset. That was all my deepest. Because you fight all your life until you forget when to stop. And
Yes.
then when things, because with all the personal growth and stuff like that, you blend and you cover all the pain. You don't heal them, you cover them.
Yes.
Then you get to a point where you get that success here, and then you feel not just unhappy, and you feel that, oh my God, I need that pity party to survive. Now
Yes.
people just see this, but they don't see my struggling. So if you get sick unconsciously, you know that, oh, people gonna, because you get to a point where you don't want to touch your finance anymore. So you need to touch something. It's crazy. So that's why when I came out of my sick bed, my surgery bed, I feel like as I didn't stay there, I still have a music in me that, need to be healed and stuff like that, because that's why I'm on that journey. So
Yes.
I need to, yeah, it's really urgent. And I coach, I mentor every day,
Mm-hmm.
that 100 people, but I finish mentor them. I see people cry when I'm on stage, but I feel unfulfilled. I come home, I cry. I feel like fake over there. I feel like a
Mm-hmm.
scam over there. So because
Right.
I have like two personality, Adelaide that became so powerful, and the little girl of me that's scared of
Mm.
so I need to connect the little girl with me, and this is why I
Yes.
found that out.
I'm so proud of you.
So, so I can't
I'm
wait
so
to be
proud of what you
there,
said.
whatever it takes. So I definitely gonna come, because it's a pain for me to live like that. I live like a shadow, like it's not nice.
Yes.
It's not
Yes,
nice.
and thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing your soul with all everyone here. Is not easy, and you know what? First of all, I honor that you have the courage to go through this because it's not easy.
No, it's not.
And in the same time, I was talking about the butterfly, and I see now on your background that you have this picture.
Yeah, that's me growing.
And it's so beautiful. And
That's
now
me
I'm watching the
growing.
butterfly flying, and I do believe with all my heart.
I'm not on that end butterfly yet. I'm somewhere there, but that's my
Yes,
goal. That's my goal of, starting my cocoon,
yes,
my journey until I completely fly. So yeah,
yeah.
that's
And the fact that you are in bed will make you enjoy the flight a lot better.
that's looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Okay, my friend. Thank you, and I will see you soon. Thank you so much for being here and for the trust. Okay. We can end for tonight. Is there something else important? No? Okay, my friends. Thank you so much with all my heart. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the trust. I do hope that you take something, okay, from tonight. Just an idea or two or three. Just don't let them pass through you. Okay, don't have them just as information that came through you. I'm sure that if you stayed until now, I'm sure that something touched your heart or your soul or your mind or a strategy or an idea or a principle. Just after you finish, just write them down, like two, three, four, five ideas, and just make a plan. Okay, how can I work on this from tomorrow, from today, right, from the next weeks of my life, right, in every aspect, with my relationships, with my soul, with God, with my health, with my, as Adelaide was sharing, nothing is a coincidence, my friends. Even a disease is not a coincidence, but we need to put focus there. Find more information, find mentors, find a strategy, go on YouTube, go on a podcast. I mean, go in this inner journey because it's your life at the end of the day, right? And if you do it by yourself, it's perfect. Just go and do it. I want to see you happy. But if you felt like something resonated with you and you felt a connection between us, I cannot wait to meet you in person. I hope you will join us for Liza, that I said in Luminica for one of our events. So take care, have a blessed evening, have a blessed life, and I hope I will see you soon. Bye bye, my friends.